Uh, that sound wasn't very loud. Do we have sound up for that owl? All right, we'll check to see if everybody can hear us. He's the only one that's up there on the screen.
I can hear you guys fine. Can you hear me?
The
No, I
TV,
can't. That's what I'm
the
saying.
TV remote needs to go up. Maybe.
There we go.
All right, Jesse, try it again.
Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Okay,
You're good.
okay.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, so we're gonna open the meeting at 9:05. Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay, gonna open the CPC meeting at 9:05 on Thursday, October 16th, 2025. We do have a quorum. So I'm gonna make sure that everybody can hear us when I call your name. Neville,
Yeah.
Tim,
Yes.
make sure, Connie. Okay, Joe,
Here. Don't get behind you.
I'll get there. Tom,
Here.
okay. John,
Here.
okay. I'm here. Blaine, you here?
I am here.
Okay, and Jesse, you can hear us?
Hello.
I can hear you. I'm here.
Oh, you're back there.
That's why I said you.
Eleanor, here. That's great, we have everybody here. You wanna sit over there?
Yeah, I just want to spread out.
Okay. All right, the problem is that the Al won't hear you.
I will pull up when I want to.
Okay. All right, so that's, somebody want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
move.
No. Okay, Joe, all those in favor? Jesse,
Aye.
Neville,
Aye.
Tim, Connie,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Joe,
Aye.
Eleanor.
Aye.
Okay, so we're gonna open, good luck getting your car out. That's all I can tell you. You're parked next to me.
All right.
All right, we're gonna open the meeting with Mass Audubon, Mark Pelliareni, Sanctuary Manager. It's 162,739, open space and recreation. Go for it.
All right, well, thank you all for having me here today. I really appreciate the time. My name is Mark Pelliarani, and I am the Mass Audubon Wildlife Sanctuaries Manager here on Nantucket. I'm a Cape Cod native. I grew up in Barnstable, and I spent more than a decade out west, and I just moved back here for this position in April. So I've been here on the island since April, and I've been doing all sorts of things, and I do like 4 people's jobs like everyone on the island, and it's been really great. And so thanks again for having me. And our project is called Protecting the Nature of Nantucket for People and Wildlife. It's going to center around open space, preserving and conserving open space through non-native invasive plant species treatments and trail maintenance with youth from the community around Nantucket. So I'll just give you a little bit of background on Mass Audubon if you all aren't quite familiar with who we are. So our motto is protecting the nature of Massachusetts for people and wildlife. And so we're a statewide nonprofit, and we protect 43,000 acres of land across Massachusetts. And that's between 110 wildlife sanctuaries and partner properties all over the state of Massachusetts. We focus on providing inclusive and equitable access to nature, mobilizing to fight climate change, and we try and protect these areas as well for birds and wildlife. We were originally a bird conservation organization, and we have 3 wildlife sanctuaries on the island, and they total 1,000 acres, about 1,000 acres, and we're actually the 4th largest landowner on Nantucket. Which a lot of folks don't really realize, which I was kind of surprised about when I got here. And so I would like to focus on 2 out of our 3 wildlife sanctuaries. Our 3rd is out at Smith Point. It's only about 15 acres, and it's a small area. And and we won't really be focusing on that today because it's beachfront and it has fragile dunes that it's mostly just for coastal waterbird monitoring. So I won't be focusing on that area. Really, the focus is on our two larger properties, and the first one is Lost Farm over on Hummock Pond. That is 75 acres, and it's sort of sandwiched between two properties that the land bank owns, Gardner Farm, and then there's another land bank property north of us. In total, that whole area constitutes about 160 acres of the largest pitch pine forest on the island. And we have 75 acres in that area. We have a diversity of invertebrates, insects, birds, and we have one species of endangered bat. It's the northern long-eared bat that we've got there. It's a really, really cool property. I would recommend that you get out there. We have pitch pine forest, we have shrubland habitat, we have woodland habitat, and we're on the banks of Hummock Pond. Our second property that I'd like to focus on is our Sacajah Heathlands Wildlife Sanctuary, and that's out between Quidnet and the Nantucket Golf Club. And we also butt to Nantucket Conservation Foundation properties. We have globally rare habitats there, coastal heathland and sandplain grasslands there, and we make up that part of that complex of the Middle Moors area. And we have one species of tree out there called the Bicknell's hawthorn that is endemic to the island. It doesn't occur anywhere else in the world. And we have a few, we have a population out there that we protect. We fence it off and we keep invasive plants out of there to protect that plant. We also do coastal waterbird monitoring out there. We do have some beach habitat out there, and we monitor for piping plovers and some other coastal waterbirds that are listed. So those are our two sanctuaries in focus, and our project goals for this are basically to provide quality access to these areas, these two large properties. To these natural settings by improving trails and controlling and managing non-native invasive plant species. I'm a botanist and early career restoration ecologist, and so I have a extensive background doing invasive plant control and restoring habitats, but with vegetation. So this is sort of my bread and butter. This area of sort of study. And in management. And our second goal is to improve visitor experience by supporting these native habitats that we have in these two sanctuaries by way of this of trail maintenance and invasive species management out there. And our third goal is to bring in 3 to 4 youth environmental stewards is what we call them. They're high school and college age students from the community. I had 3 of them this summer that I worked with. And we would like to pursue these first 2 goals with those students working for us. And so I'll get back to the YES program a little bit later in a few minutes. And so for the trail improvements that we would like to do and that we are currently doing, but we need more for that. We need to exert a little bit more energy, time, money towards improving these trails. And so the trails so trail improvement is super important because they lower hazardous encounters or for visitors to our sanctuaries, they lower hazardous encounters with ticks, tree hazards, poison ivy, and other impediments that are around our sanctuaries. They also give level ground and good access to these areas. So those maintained trails are very important to all members of the community. And then on the non-native invasive plant side, if a lot of these plants are left unchecked and unmanaged, They can dominate habitats, replace native species, and threaten biodiversity. A lot of those insects that our wildlife depends on will be pushed out because they're basically adapted to native habitats that support native species of plants and other invertebrates. And so that can negatively impact visitor experiences because having too many, like a monoculture of invasive plants close to trails, it pushes wildlife away from trails. And so it impacts visitor experience. And I saw that working for the National Park Service in Yellowstone. We had invasive plant species close to the roads. And so elk and other wildlife would move away and graze on other native plant species away from the roads. And so people wouldn't see them close to the roads when they wanted when they were driving around. So I've seen that in other areas as well, and it's pretty well accepted. And so to accomplish this work, we do use these youth environmental stewards. This program was started in 2021 by the previous sanctuary manager. It brings high school students and college students into a work environment. They're employees, they're not interns, so they get paid. We need them to be residents of Nantucket because of housing, but also it's a community aspect. We want to basically grow a community of folks who are stewards of the environment and can go out into the world and use the skills that they learn here and bring those to other communities, or to keep them here in the community as well. So if they choose to stick around. And so some of our projects that I've done with them, I'm their boss, so I work with them every day. And so we do all sorts of projects, but some of our projects also include invasive species and plant control. We would like to ramp that up. We didn't do too much of it. And so as I got here, we did do Bicknell's hawthorn, that endemic tree species. We did do some protection efforts around that, basically fencing it from deer and clearing it out of weed area, weeds. We cleared the weeds around it and so that they don't get choked out or overshaded. And we did some trail maintenance. We also monitored for the southern pine beetle at Lost Farm. We've got the southern pine beetle out there, and I'm working in conjunction with NCF and the land bank to do that work because we don't want to lose our pitch pine forest due to southern pine beetle outbreaks. So we do that as well, and then we do some special projects that have to do with trails. We did a swale project that essentially diverted water away from eroding these trails, and we built a water bar, and we were also getting water that was coming into the pond, and so we diverted that because you don't want sedimentation or erosion coming off of our trails into Hummock Pond. And so we built a diversion essentially to disperse that water. And so I could not have done that work or that project without the help of our stewards, these three students that I had over the summer. So that's just one of many examples of some of the work that we've done. And so why are we seeking the funding for this work? Mass Audubon has lost statewide federal funding recently, and so we need to look towards our community to help us out here on the island. And also the benefits of this type of work are countless, really, but some examples are we can protect habitats and species in these biodiverse areas here on Nantucket. We have globally rare habitats, like I mentioned, here on the island. And we would like to provide safe, level walking areas for people. We'd like to build communities of people who care and steward the land for future generations. And then the mental, physical, and emotional benefits of having access to nature are far reaching, for our community here. And then additionally, as our seasons become warmer and drier for longer, and we get these heavy and intense rain events, erosion happens more easily in our areas and to our trails and to our areas, especially closer to water resources like Hummock Pond. And so in these more extreme environmental conditions, invasive plants can take advantage of those conditions. And so there's a two-tiered sort of threat between climate change affecting these areas and invasive plants that basically have the potential to take over. And if we act now and get ahead of this trail work and these weeds and invasive plant infestations, and really hammer them early and upfront, our costs could go down over time, because you essentially control and manage these problems, and then you get ahead of them, and they become less of a problem in the future, because you've really you've kind of gotten ahead of them. And so that takes adaptive management strategies, and I have a lot of experience from the Park Service working on that on those adaptive management frameworks. And so that's it. And I thank you, and would love to hear any questions that you all have.
Okay. Don't know, I hear you sliding over there. I can't.
You don't want to go first?
No, go ahead. I've got questions, but I'll go
I am an owner. I work for the land bank. I represent the land bank on this board, so I fully believe and respect and think this is a wonderful project. My question is kind of for you, but where I would want to land on this right off the bat is we don't really support salary. That's really not where our money should go.
Yeah.
That's a really big can of worms if we start paying salaries for the work. It's great work. We do it adjacent to your land all the time. We collaborate with you. I'm all for the work.
Yeah.
I'm all for the stewardship program. It's all good. But that's a problem for me. I mean, we use Kenny. He's fantastic. Where I would land on this is underwriting the work that Kenny and Solitude would do and the cost of the supplies.
Yeah.
The salary would be a problem for me.
on.
Yeah.
How much is that line item?
The line item just with so it's 62,550 for Kenny, Solitude and permits.
Yeah.
And then 2,381 for the supplies. You have fringe. Could you explicate that a little bit more?
I believe it's a small percentage of, for, that it was explained to me. And I'm still new to Mass Audubon system, but I believe I've got to get back to you on that. It's a small percentage of someone's, I think, hourly pay, and so.
So it's salary related. That's what
It is, yes,
I
exactly,
mean, that's
yeah,
full-time, part-time. So my
Yes.
assumption was related to,
yes,
in any event, that's another salary at line.
Yeah.
So that's my own personal input. Again, as someone who does this kind of work and fully supports it,
Yeah.
endorses all of it, but that would be a problem for me.
yeah,
No, that's great.
great, and I have to be honest, I actually, I worked on this with, a few other folks in Mass Audubon, and, I, honestly, I thought that part wasn't part of what we're asking for. I've got to be, I've got to be perfectly honest, and so, because I had read that the salaries weren't part of it, and so that should have been on us, and so I understand your concern there, I really do, and so it was sort of news to me, and so I understand that.
Sorry, the salary line item will be 33,960. No, sorry, this is the,
Yeah, so,
yeah, but wait a minute.
I got this one.
And 47, so that's the two different salary items. Okay, so you have 33,960 for the various, the sanctuary manager, islands director, regional ecologist, islands property manager, that comes to 33,960. The YES program involves 47,016. No, that's, I'm sorry. Go back. That's a subtotal of this thing. So we're dealing with total salary for these two things, $47,016. The fringe issue is 21,598.80. And the travel, we generally don't cover that, 2,036. So it sounds like you understood.
I did, and I think we wrapped it up in a full budget.
Right.
And that's what we presented, and yeah, I understand that,
Okay.
yep.
So basically 62,550 plus 2,381, whatever that, I can't do it. Yeah, but yes. Which will give you a pretty good leg up. I mean,
Exactly.
and that's a good price with Kenny. He's doing work right next to Lost Farm right now.
Yes, yeah, they're here, yeah, exactly. And so I'm glad that I really appreciate that, because this is important for me, and I sort of expected that. And so this is great, like that's great, yeah, and yeah, yep.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody else have a question? I have a couple, but anybody else have any questions? Tim? Did you have-
I had no idea about that. A rare tree species, that's an incredible story.
We've been
Yes.
asked a lot.
That's an incredible story. And so I have two questions. One,
Of course.
how many of those?
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Come on, guys.
Tim, keep going, please.
Yeah. How many of those species do you have?
Well, that particular tree is one of our only, we have, that is the only one to my knowledge. I'm still getting to know, as a botanist, I'm still getting to know our over 1,200 plants that we have on the island.
Oh, that's
Um,
that tree, there's only one.
There's only that
That you
one
know of?
species, well, there's a population, and so it's a few, so there's a few, and they are. I believe they are reproductive, there's a rust that affects them as well, but we have, if you go out to our area, we have small saplings, and then we have overhead, 15-foot trees as well, and so that's the whole, we're trying to protect those small saplings, because they're vulnerable to graze or browse by deer and rabbits. And so, it's a small population, and we've had in the past, we had an arboretum come out and try and propagate them and bring them back. And so, I believe it was Arnold Arboretum in Boston. And so there's been some work done on those, and right now we're maintain and keep them safe. So, yeah.
Second question for you, do your trails that you want to enhance, do they already exist, or do you want to build them?
They already exist. We wouldn't do any trail creation. Yeah,
Gotcha. Thank you.
of course.
Anybody else have any questions? Oh, sure. When you're improving the access to the public, that also includes handicap access.
Yes,
These trail improvements, you should stabilize it so people have handicap accessibility for it, because it's on as required.
Yeah.
So I just want to make, you are addressing that part of it.
yeah, well, and that's part of my supervisor, Susan Bellenkamp, is like a champion for all persons access. And so that would be part of it. They're actually going for an all persons trail over on Martha's Vineyard and they're going for a CPC grant, I believe this week or next week. And so they're putting in an all persons trail. And so I would consult with her and essentially, make sure that we're rolling down that avenue as well. So,
Okay, so we granted you, that we just want to make sure that when we do the report, with all the things that we have to do at the end of the year, is that it says all persons access. That's the first time I've heard that particular phrase, which is a great phrase. Because it's come up in other venues I'm involved with, and I like that phrase because it is all persons access,
Yeah.
whether they're in a wheelchair or a walker or whatever they're on. But that's important if we fund things to improve access. What kind of access? All persons access is what we really need to focus on there.
yeah, yes.
Okay, and then, I know your funding's been cut. Are you raising money anywhere else? Do you have any fundraising or?
Yeah, we've got, I'm in the process of, I just helped to put a report out for the Nantucket Golf Club grant. And so we got that for our Yes program this year, and then I am in the process of helping to write the one for next year as well. That's pretty much that helps to fund our Yes program, like I said, and so then it's pretty much me the rest of the year, and so doing the projects that we need to do, and so that's one of them around here.
And I think if you use in your fundraising, it's a suggestion, if you use those trees as part of the fundraising on Nantucket, you may get an awful lot of participation.
Okay,
So when you market yourself for these donations, go after those trees.
got it.
Ellen? Go ahead. John?
Just a quick
Sure.
question. Someone wanted to apply for this Yes program. Would they contact you directly?
Yes, they can, of
Okay.
course, yes, and we put our, it goes on to LinkedIn, I believe, or not LinkedIn, Indeed. I think it's automatic, so we have our ADP system,
Yeah.
and we post it on the Mass Audubon website, which is connected to ADP, but that automatically uploads to, Indeed.
I know
As
somebody
well.
who's interested, so I'll have.
I would love them to get in touch with me. It's a 8-week program, and they work, it's like three days a week. I'm trying to get a crew lead in. But it's a really great program, because also it's for, the folks who want to apply, they can also do another job as well. So it works out well.
Yeah, that's it too, so.
All right, there you go.
All right.
Joe, you gotta wrap it up here with Joe. and Ellen.
Sure.
Any local schools, you're going to them as well to like see if.
Yeah, I did the job fair at the high
Okay,
school, and I had two kids who came through the school system here, and then someone else who, it was tough, like the hiring is tough, and so I had another, our youngest, yes. Her family has a house here, and like great hire, like amazing hire, so yeah, so and so I work around the community and talk to people and work with the high school, yeah. Thank you.
Ellen, you had one more.
Last question, I was just doing the math, and the $27,157.03 indirect, we need to elaborate on that. So if you come back with a adjusted ask.
Yeah.
Pertaining to KJP, solitude, herbicide permit, and size, break out that indirect, because there can be contingencies, we will cover contingencies.
Certain things we can cover.
We need more information on what that is, so if you
Okay.
need to include that amount or some portion of that amount, break it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, can we,
You can get it to the line.
oh, okay, great, we
Within the
can,
next week or two.
okay,
Yeah,
great,
you can get that.
great.
Yeah.
Wait.
Okay, great. Okay,
I have one question, if it's okay.
Kathy,
So thank you very much for everything you're doing. It's really fascinating, especially on the invasive species. So what are some of the invasive species that you are having to eradicate?
that's great that you asked. I actually had a slide on that, and I actually took it out, but so there's a few woody species that are really aggressive. It's probably ones that you all have heard before. We've got bittersweet, oriental bittersweet. We have a Japanese knotweed that is encroaching on our Lost Farm area from a adjacent property that's really aggressive. We have autumn olive that we'd like to cut out, and then we have a couple different species of honeysuckle.
The
that are-
honeysuckle's a pain, yeah.
Yeah, and so.
Nice.
And so there are multiple methods to control those. I'm very familiar. I've done that sort of work
you don't have to
before.
go over it because we have
Okay.
more time.
Okay,
What was
Okay,
the-
and so just last question, is it possible, and this is more of a question to the board, if the applicant uses more subcontractor for some of the work that they were planning on doing in-house with the interns, would that work?
Yeah, I mean, however you get the work done, it have to be in-house.
Because if it's a subcontractor,
In-house.
if it's subcontractor, they would be able to apply for CPC funds, correct?
Well, he'd be hiring the subcontractors.
Right,
They wouldn't be coming in here by themselves.
right, but I'm saying they're,
Back in.
yeah, so that instead of, like, for example, the swale project that he did
Right.
with interns, if they hired someone to do the swale project, they would be able to get CPC funds for the swale project because
Yeah.
it's a
whatever they put in.
subcontractor versus a intern. So I'm just saying, maybe there's a way to swap that around a little bit.
That'll probably
Yeah.
cost more though. think
Yeah.
About it, so I don't
Let's
know,
not
I don't know
get
if
there.
that really solves the problem.
And that's not a subject for today.
And undercuts their real wonderful stewardship.
Madam Chair, you need to.
We gotta go.
for The next, yeah.
Great.
Well, thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you all, having me today, so.
Get some more parsing out
Great.
and readjust your ask
Okay,
based on the conversation
Great.
today and get it. to
Great.
Glenna.
great, that sounds good.
Thank you.
Is there, can I talk to you
Yeah.
about that, or just, or, well, yeah,
Yeah, just talk to
Reach
Glenn.
out to me,
Great. Great,
either tomorrow or next, well, actually, next week.
okay, great.
Okay.
Great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Mark.
Hello. I
Gotcha.
had gel put in my knees. And I can't,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. I need a little bit. No. Oh, good, I can reach the floor. Wow. I just had gel put in my knees, so I can't let them swing loose down there.
It's your rotary phone.
It's a flip phone. He knows I have it. Still have it. Thank you very much.
It's our heel to a shoe.
I love it. I have a very $1,200 Samsung and it sits in the box and intimidates me. So I'm going to continue to use my flip phone. Now, you are up for Nantucket Ice.
Yes. Yes.
Glenna has had extensive conversations up at the state at CPC. And they have told us that we cannot fund anything inside. Only outside recreation open space, because the original statute only allowed us to do open space. Recreation was about 10% of the open space amount. So and then they said you can do either one, because so many people were coming in with outdoor recreation, parks and rec and things like that. But they said that we can't fund anything for recreation that is enclosed.
So,
You want to identify yourself?
okay, so my name is Devin Remick. I've been involved with the rink
Since it started.
no, there were a lot of people in there from 95 and so on. They've been all very dedicated people that did a lot of work before I got in there. But I've been involved in the rink since 05 and on the board since 2012. So a good 13 years anyway. This is Mike Gillies.
Mike Gillies, I went to the rink in 2016 to learn curling and then got on the board in 2018 and just have helped with fundraising and curling events and other facility type stuff.
So, first of all, I want to thank you for actually listening to us, because obviously we do have that issue that has been in the past. And I know a lot of people on the board have wanted to help the rink out and it just hasn't worked out. Really what my gear is, I'm really trying to take the rink and help the community at the same time as kind of helping the rink out. Our goal of this is to kind of bring the outside in during a time period that sports have a really tough time. 25 to 30% of the days, April through June, are not conducive to playing sports outside when everyone is outside. So it's giving an outdoor feel in an indoor area that we can take these sports between lacrosse and soccer and field hockey and flag football and whatever else we can get in there, and actually make it so that they don't lose their practice time, and kind of spread it out between the schools and the teams and the different structures that are on the island for that. So that's kind of my main thought was actually to bring the outside in. It is tough, and even when we had a shutdown this year, and even when we just had the slab, which is just a concrete slab in the indoor, we had lacrosse practice in there, we had a couple PEs in there, and so people are utilizing our space even when it's not as, slab is not really comfortable to run around and play on, but but they needed to do that because they needed to get their teams practicing when they couldn't because of the rain or the, well, we all know what our weather's like, during that time. It's pretty wet. So that's the main goal of this. And during those 3 months is the rink's slowest period. It's the time when our main hockey ends, and everyone kind of goes out and says, okay, I'm going to start soccer, I'm going to start lacrosse and that kind of thing. So for us, programming has been difficult over our span during those 3 months. For the most part, we've stayed open, but we have shut down certain times because it was just cost effective. We needed to do maintenance. We needed to, there was one point, I think 5 years went by without us closing, and we needed to do our regular maintenance and get the ice put back in the paint and everything deteriorates over time. So we need to do that every once in a while. The proposal that I'm saying is that we would basically take those 3 months every year, take the ice out, and then put the 17,000 square feet of grass in the facility. So
Turf or grass?
it is turf.
Not turf.
Yep, it is turf. In the past, we have, just to give you many of you may know, but we just went through a cooling system renovation, which was a bit of an emergency situation, and we had to basically shut down in March, and it ended up being about a $2.5 million system. We raised 1.5 in a matter of a couple of months. We will be raising the remainder, which was a bank loan, to pay for the rest of that. Be announcing some fundraising things that we're doing in the near future to kind of finish that off. But we were able to get that installed in record time and actually open in beginning of July for our camps to start. So it was a lot of people working very hard in a very rapid way to get us open. We were able to get open because of that, and a lot of dedicated people and a lot of our fundraising campaign that went out to a lot of people that really care about the rink and really want to see us succeed. Another thing that I want to focus on is really turning the rink into a more of a community center as well. There's a population on this island that uses the rink because they want to skate or curl or that kind of thing. But we really it's a beautiful facility that I would like to see more of the island use. And so this would give us the opportunity to kind of have that space for the community as well, whether it be the kids, the adults. I'd love to see, like the seniors in there doing, exercise or whatever, and during the day when we've got school still going on, and events. One thing that in recent, we purchased a floor that goes over our ice, which was fundraised for. It's about $100,000 system, which has been great. We were able to do probably our biggest event so far was pivoting during obviously the weather, and doing the island fair, and getting that happening, which also was something that happened very quickly. They kind of didn't know what they were going to do, and we were approached about 4 or 5 days earlier than
About 24 hours.
okay, well, so we were able to kind of scramble and get that in there and able to do the island fair, which was an amazing event.
Huge.
For the weekend. So we had everything from animals to food to everything. It was,
Alpacas on the bus.
it was a little crazy. But it was nice to see that the community using that in a different way. The floor has been great. The floor is something that we will use in the future to go over the ice. This is a little bit different. One thing about our new cooling system, we're actually able to control the climate a lot better in the rink as well, which will help. But with the turf situation, with the ice coming out, we won't have to worry about the temperatures. We can completely control it at that point. So when we put the floor down, it is a little bit cold in there during our events, but with the grass, it'll be very comfortable. The turf itself it's a 3-inch surface that is, very, very comfortable to, to play sports on and to gather on. And, in the future, if we can make this work, I'd love to put a 40-foot screen in there and do movie nights and have everyone bring a lawn chair and a blanket and come and be a community in that way too. So, so that's basically what we're looking for. And I know that we have a stipulation that we're dealing with, but I'm hoping that we might be able to make this work, because I think it's something that would be really good for the community.
My brain is working overtime on one comment that you made. Does anybody have any questions?
And take the doors off.
No, there's another way around this maybe. Does anybody
Like
else have any
Vegas, it'll
questions?
be open all the time.
Hang on a second. You have a question?
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I wish that we'd had it, we've all been saying.
Yeah, we've all been saying
I
multi.
just don't know how we work around, find the loophole necessary, because the minute we start doing that, there's other indoor recreation.
I think I have one.
But this has always been the goal of Nantucket Ice since it started,
Yeah.
to make it a community rink.
Yes.
When the ice was gone, that
It'd be
events
a
and,
purpose.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is, I mean, I know you got the flooring, but this is another step towards achieving that mission.
We're opening up the doors to another group of islanders, year-round people, like the soccer community that, plays in the Boys and Girls Club gym. Now they could have a real league. And, yeah, we do have some fields out there, but are we gonna light them up for them at night when they wanna go and play, when the time works for them to go and play?
They do box lacrosse.
Right, we can do Boston Cross at 9 PM, 10 PM, 11 PM, not a
I
problem.
coached in March for years,
Yeah.
girls soccer. I know how cold that is.
Yeah,
Glenna, I have a way out of this maybe. Glenna.
So I just wanted to point out that the CPA specifically prohibits spending CPA funds for indoor recreational facilities, so it does have to be outside. And the other thing is, it also prohibits the use of artificial turf for fields. So those are two stipulations that is written in the CPA legislative law. So, there's two things, if we can get it outside and without the artificial turf. But
That was
Yeah.
a more recent thing.
That's
They didn't
the law.
start out that way at the beginning.
Yeah.
My only thing, maybe it's worth having a conversation up there in Boston again, is bringing the outdoors in. Because we're not creating a new recreation facility. We're taking recreation that is occurring outside. We paid for those fields out there. That was a CPC grant. Those are my projects. And those are turf fields. And we paid for it. And that's what we use for lacrosse and soccer, et cetera, et cetera. And that's what's interesting. Because
the
maybe
reason-
indoor, outside indoor for those 3 months, when it's raining and snowing or whatever it's doing here, versus creating a whole new recreation facility that's indoors. That may be,
So then the applicant should be
yeah,
the youth lacrosse and youth soccer, maybe.
no, the town came to us for those fields out there.
I know, but you're.
Is the
asking
reason for the turf, is it runoff? Is it
And there
is
was
it
a big-
PFAS
there was
runoff? Is
no-
that the reason why?
Yeah, when
Because
they,
we're-
from rubber and all that stuff
Yeah.
is coming up.
So this, I mean, I don't know if this is a different situation because it's not something that's gonna be.
It's carpet.
It's basically a carpet that's going over. It's gonna be stored in a storage building.
Yeah, it's
And
not
then
a
put on-
artificial turf,
put on
as
our
we know, it's
slab.
a football field. This is a
Right.
totally different issue. It's actually carpet, because I've seen it. Well, we'll have some more conversations about it, but Tom,
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting project. I think it'd be terrific for the community. And maybe there's some more times during the year where it could be used eventually, once you kind of.
It can
figure
be, it can
timing
be put
out.
on top of our floor. It can't be put on the ice. But it
Right.
can be put on top of our floor. So if we had like a weekend thing where we're like, we want grass for the weekend, we can put our floor down that we purchased and put the grass down, and we could have turf during our regular hockey season
Yeah.
for a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So that can
but
happen.
the
Yeah.
difference here is the word turf. Because the carpet that I've seen indoors,
Mhm.
Colin played indoors when he was doing
Yep.
soccer. And it's different than turf, because it's turf. It's got beads coming up, it looks like
Flakes.
grass, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
This is carpet,
Yeah.
which may not qualify under the CPA
Yeah.
as turf as we know it on
It's
a
a
football
modular,
field.
it's a
A
modular
modular
system.
thing and it fits together like this, cause I just saw
Yep.
a property I'm working on now has it. Tom?
Yeah, I just, reading the CPA Act real quick. There's nothing that quite fits into this, like
Right.
there's some ambiguity here. And Madam Chair, if I might suggest, maybe through me as the select board rep, maybe ask town council for an opinion on this.
If he's familiar with the CPA, but I'll
Yeah,
call Stuart directly.
KP
Anyway,
Law is very familiar with CPA.
Never,
I think it might be worth having that, just having a written opinion on
Yeah.
it
I do have one.
from town
Well,
council.
not from town council, but,
From Stuart.
yeah, from Stuart, because we've been back and forth about, this
And Stuart,
specific
wait,
project.
but there may be a nuance here that we're not catching.
Maybe get the spec.
Well, he did
Yeah.
see the entire, application,
Yeah.
so
and said flatly no.
he did say flatly no. He
Can-
said it's because it's indoor, and even on the allowables chart. They can acquire, create, preserve, and even rehabilitate, but it has to be outside. He was just very.
Well, I'll have a conversation with Stuart because we did the field house, that's all inside. Neville?
No, I was gonna mention some things, everybody, the things in there. We had when CPC started, we had a situation where we had open space and we could not do any, I was on the Park and Rec representing at the time. And we wanted to put some, like the fields, like the little parks they put out there. We wanted to use it, but they said we could not use the funds. We couldn't use CPC funds for to put for park, it was just for open space. So in talking to Stuart and talking to, I think it was Chilmark and some other CPC people around, we got a pass. So now it's called open space and recreation, so we can have park. We also know that also CPC, if they wanted to, can buy land and build their own parks, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the special consideration that we got, that now it's adopted all over the state in terms of, that's why you can have recreation areas. And I think this may be in special circumstances like this, you might be able to talk to Stuart and let him get together with his people and see if they can come up with something that just relates to the Nantucket community. Start off that way. I know that after we did that, other communities started calling us to find out how did we do that. So I know some other communities adopted the same thing. Maybe, because this is a great project and in our present situation, that it makes sense for us here. It would not make sense maybe in Yarmouth or someplace, but it makes sense for us.
Basically, it's providing recreational shelter. And that's another way to
Yeah.
approach this.
It's
It's
almost a
outside and then you go inside because
It's
it's
lightning.
raining.
Yeah.
So there may be a way of, I'll talk to Stuart about more particular that it's not turf as we know it. It's
better get the specs,
actually
though.
carpet. Can
Get
you
the
get me the specs?
Yeah, I will.
You get Bernie the specs?
Yep,
and
I
I'll
can
send
do
them
that
out
today,
there.
yeah.
Cause it isn't turf.
I think we should get the town council opinion too, because they
Yeah.
want us.
Yeah, and Madam Chair?
Madam Chair, may I kindly request that any correspondence like that with Stuart be put in our packet for us to deliberate on?
Yeah,
I just
Because
call
I
him.
feel,
Yeah,
what's that?
I call
I
him.
know,
And then he can
we,
email me back.
but I think that should be in the packet and the public should be able to see that,
I
those
agree.
correspondence, anything like that.
Yeah, we'll memorialize it, but I had call him and have this discussion.
Needless to say, we should be aware of it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So you're gonna call town council?
I mean, yeah, I'll email you and Joe and we'll figure it out how to
Okay.
get an opinion.
And Madam Chair, we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
soon.
Neville, do you have one more comment over there?
And I wanted to get back on this, you guys were talking about something completely different, just to let it be straightened out on this. When the turf field was put in, we weren't allowed to do it, and that's another example, but we did it from Park and Rec, that was Park and Rec. So at the time, it was Park and Rec. We went and we did research, we went all the way up to Worcester. And they allowed us to do it, they allowed us to use the funds for CPC to put in that one turf field, only one. So I'm saying there are things that can be allowable. That's what I'm trying to stress without going any further and getting on the side. So don't give up hope.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, basically. Don't give up hope. It's a great project.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll, get Glenn as soon as you can, the
I'll do
spec.
that today.
And I'll have the conversation up there and we'll send the specs out to everybody.
If there's any other questions or anything that I can.
Anybody else want?
Please reach out.
Ellen, anything else?
All right. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
We'll see what about.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, now comes a big ask. $719,007.58. Gotta get that 58 cents.
Madam Chair. I'll be back in an hour. Be back at 11.
Yeah, he said that's a message.
Yeah.
All right, you can watch this on video.
Yes,
also.
I will.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, Charlie,
Hello,
introduce
everybody.
yourself.
My name is Charlie Palaki. I'm the manager of Parks and Recreation for the town of Nantucket. I know we're running a little late, so I'll try to be as quick as possible, maybe get back on track. Pretty straightforward ask. I think we're looking to redo the Little League fields over at Delta, primarily a lot of fencing, which has kind of reached its useful age since it was originally installed years ago. We've looked at it, got a cost analysis to repair what's there, and the amount of money to do the repair is about equal to doing a full replacement. And we would replace it instead of standard galvanized fence, it's a black fence, I forget the name of it, but it's like a heat bonded material. And so it actually lasts longer than galvanized. And you don't get, been over to the Nobody Field recently, the tall poles that hang the fence, it doesn't chafe off or flake like a painted black surface.
This is the Delta field.
This is the Delta fields for the two Little League fields. The backstops will be replaced with kind of newer technology. Where now you see the tall galvanized fence, this would be just poles that go up with a netting material. The bottom 4 feet is PT wood that is covered by padding, so it actually makes it a little bit safer for catchers and everyone going after foul balls. And then it also allows us in the winter, at the end of the season, or like when fall ball ends, we can drop the nets. And so they don't take the wind, the abuse, in the winter winds. We've been fortunate at Delta, we haven't had to do any repairs, but out at Tom Nevers, that big backstop in the winter catches snow, and we spent a bunch of money last year straightening it because it was starting to lean back, so this will allow us to work around that. Also some other things in here when I work with Little League to kind of put this together, things like new bleachers, pitching machines, that sort of stuff. I kind of
And
asked
the,
them to
and
give me
the
a,
field house behind the home plate, isn't that getting redone?
that actually already been reshingled, and resurfaced, so that it's actually in good working condition. Things like new bleachers. We inherited, the school got some new bleachers, so they kindly gave us their stuff, and we've kind of been piecemealing from one to another, but the youth baseball program is growing. They're doing a fantastic job of expanding that program, and we're finding that we need more bleachers than we have there, and it's I think it'd be a great, great project for us.
I have a bunch of questions. Melanie, you're rolling in there.
Well, I got. Oh,
Go ahead.
Hold on, guys. I recognize Eleanor first.
That's okay. I'm okay. I can
Are
go.
you okay?
Yeah.
Neville?
Delta fields. That's an example of what we were talking about, created by Park and Recreation, by the way. That's a very good project. So right now, after all those years, basically I like it because that is an upgrade of a project that was put in by Park and Rec. And it's been many years later, from the time it was cut from, I forgot his name. So I think that's a very good thing. What are you saying about the field in Tom Nevers?
Oh, I was just using it as an example.
Oh, okay, because I was wondering because that field for Little League, I think it's not illegal.
No,
It's
we
a
did,
dope
Little League did
softball.
expand actually
Right,
out this
yeah,
past spring
right.
because they've grown so much.
Okay, yeah,
Out into the Tom Nevers fields
Yeah.
for practice.
yes.
Yeah.
that was-
Games are still held at
Yeah.
Delta because the fields are more inspect. The big field obviously is
Yeah.
much too large for little
It's
kids.
softball.
But we did maintain them, but they did use.
But other than the course, which kind of is striking for me. I like this project and it's a project that was founded and started by CPC and Park and Recreation. And after many, many years, this is upkeep. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll have to correct that, but go ahead.
This may be what Eleanor's gonna ask, but this is one of our larger asks, so and we have a lot of people asking, so.
We got
it-
over $8 million for the proposed.
Is there part of this that's like more critical than the other? If we had to give you some of it instead of all of it? Could you break it out that way?
Yeah, and my question is
Phases.
priority also.
Sure, I think priority,
I mean, not right now, but I mean, if we,
yeah, the big thing would be the fencing materials and the backstop stuff. If we had to remove things, like bleachers and like there's pitching machines and some other stuff in there, to help, Little League and that sort of stuff. I could remove that stuff out, but the fencing, like the batting cage at the far field is
yeah,
completely unusable. It's, completely falling apart. The one at the front field is hanging on by a thread. So the far field's completely unusable right now. And so those improvements that they kind of asked for. So, I could go through if we needed to cut this down, would remove some of the items.
I think it'd be helpful if you said like must have,
Yeah.
nice to have,
We're
would
gonna
really
ask
love
you-
to have, maybe something
Yeah,
like
we're gonna
that.
ask you to submit a priority list,
Sure.
and we can spread a project out over several years. We have several projects already going for the last 24 years that have spread themselves out over many years. So it'd be great if you can get it to Glenna as to what gotta have it, next phase, and we'll do what we can with it.
How would you like that just in like an Excel spreadsheet
Yes,
of
it doesn't
high to
really-
low?
Yeah, you could just do a phase project list, like what are the immediate needs for right now? So that would be your phase one, like what do you absolutely have for right now? And then phase two and phase three if it's necessary.
Sure.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
Right, Eleanor?
Two, great project. That being said, two concerns, other funding sources, we're the only funding source. There's maybe a legitimate reason for that, but I feel like that's a lot to put on us to fund the whole thing. And then the other kind of granular thing is in LMC Contracting's estimate. They say labor, consumables, lodging included. In their $110,000 invoice, everything else is broken out. So typically we don't, labor, yes. But consumables and lodging, I don't know that we would cover that, so that maybe they need to break that out and
Okay, yeah, I can break that out. It would go on a regular contract.
probably put that in or
With
something,
the
but
town.
yeah.
Okay.
And then I totally agree with what has been said about figuring out what you could phase to the next fiscal year ask, et cetera. Other programs have
Yeah.
had the same.
So some of the other funding sources for this is I do have some room within my operational budget. That I could take some of the smaller things, pitching machines, that sort of stuff. I actually have into capital planning, even more fencing. To fence the perimeter of the fields. One of the things we're starting to battle now, of course, is these lovely e-bikes. That come ripping across the
Ripping
field.
across the
Yeah, I was
field.
out there the other day,
Yeah.
and there's a shortcut that goes around the airport.
Yeah.
And someone came through the field, around the boatyard, around the backside of that far field and was doing about 40 miles an hour with grass rooster tail coming off the back of that e-bike and zipped across. So we're gonna look to fence up the whole field to try to prevent that from
No
happening.
e-bike zone.
It's
Well,
bad. The e-bikes are a real problem.
okay, I have a bunch of comments here. The field was not built with CPC funds. I was on the executive board of Little League. I was an umpire and a coach for many years. And we built that field. We built the field. The Little League built the field to have Little League fields. Because it was done, it was completed before 19. Evan was born, Colin was born in 86, he was in Little League in 96, so that'll give you an idea of the timeline. Obviously with the full knowledge of the town, because it was town property, but we physically built those fields. So they are old. The fencing is old. We've had stuff clipped to the fencing, which didn't help them.
Yeah,
So it really is in need of help. The only problem is I gotta check with Stuart again. Because CPC funds were not used to create it. Way back when, we could only fund stuff that we created with CPC funding. We didn't create that field. If you were coming in today to create the fields, the CPC could do it. So I have to ask Stuart whether or not we can do upgrades to that field. We can really adjunct stuff like a pitching machine or something along those lines. But we have to drill down about how much we can actually fund because we didn't create it. Because there are jungle gyms that we didn't create that we can't do, unless they wipe it out and we start over again.
Mm.
Cause the Tom Nevers one we did, the Jetties one we did, the Park one we did, those things we can upgrade and fix all we want, because we gave them the money to create that thing. So I gotta ask them about this one, because it was done way before CPC came in and
You're coming in as recreation, not under open space, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Or,
recreation.
okay, because with recreation, you can rehabilitate and or restore. With open space, you cannot, it has to be
Recreate.
acquired by and created by.
But I just wanna
CPA.
make sure, because there was a
But
point
that's
where we
within the
couldn't touch a
allowable
gym,
start.
a jungle gym set that we did not create.
Yeah.
So I
But
just
it's
wanna
for
clarify that.
recreation, yeah.
Recreation.
So I gotta make sure that we can.
Yeah.
It's in their name. Parks and Recreation.
Doesn't matter, we created it, not Parks and Rec.
Well, the thing is this. That property, like Bobby Coletti cleared the Park and Rec. Park and Rec's budget money went into that. Wherever you wanna say the money came from, that was part of Park and Rec's budget money. When we needed some things done and we applied for a grant, we got a grant from CPC.
Mhm.
I was on the CPC. So I'm not saying CPC built the whole park.
But it's funded it before.
Yes,
I don't.
we funded it before.
Well, somebody's basically building the whole
thing
anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
Most part, yeah, all the fencing is gonna
That
be.
needs to happen.
yeah, but the bottom line is, you know, yes, it's a big ask, and I agree with what everyone's saying about you making that list out. But it is a field, it's a community project. But it's that, and that's what we support them, it's an outdoor recreational project. So I don't think there should be any, I don't think there's any restrictions to it.
I will double check.
Yeah, it's open space and it's recreational.
Do you have any more comments?
No.
Anybody else have any more? Okay, Charlie, go ahead.
Thank you.
And he has a lot more up his sleeve, we just didn't see it.
And you'll be sending me that list, Charlie?
Yes, absolutely. I'll get that out to you later today.
Thank you.
You guys are not gonna do anything that you out in town, never, probably.
As far as,
The little league supposed quote unquote.
It's softball.
yeah, so we've got some of the softball field, which I call the smaller field.
Yeah.
We actually had for years, it had kind of like a stone dust.
Mhm.
Jerry, we covered that with proper infill
Oh, thank you. All
for,
And you do know that those. All
right, we better move on.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Thanks, Charlie.
Actually,
Get that list
for
to,
that, but-
get that list to Glenna, do the
Good.
priority stuff, take
Absolutely.
out some stuff that you can take out. And we'll get, within the next 2 weeks.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mark?
Nantucket Racket Sports Association.
Sure.
And we've seen you all before.
Yes, you have. Just handing out like an updated spreadsheet of where everything stands financially right now. I thought you'd have some questions.
Because you're able to start now because you stockpiled enough money.
Yes, yes. Anyway, I'm Mark Vanacore and I've been here a few times, including at your public forum earlier this year. This is Linda Reith. She is a longstanding member and our bookkeeper for the organization. So
We never gave it up, did you? Not yet.
she's tried. but
I'm
we
trying to
won't-
get through.
We won't.
We go back like 50 years.
Yeah.
You're the one we wanna talk to.
Anyway, thanks for having us back and I know you're familiar with this project, so I'll move pretty quickly, but we have really an exciting update for you. We have, multiple grants, just a little bit of history. NRSA just celebrated its 50th year, which is exciting, and it was mostly platform tennis, but in 2019, two things happened. Thanks to the land bank, we moved to our current location, and thanks to the CPC, which at the time gave us $200,000 to build our existing pickleball courts. We have 4 pickleball courts. There was also a separate grant, if you remember, to put lights in. So we've 4 lighted pickle courts, 4 platform tennis courts, and a warming hut. And this exploded our membership up to 400 people. increased the amount of play. It's really become an incredible community spot for outdoor recreation. And, some days I'm over there and all the courts are busy, the parking lot's full, and it's really a great spot. Last year, just for example, we keep costs low, but it's $15 if you're a non-member to play, and we took in over $60,000 of guest fees, so that's 4,000 different people coming and playing either paddle or pickleball or drop in, so you can see it's very busy over there. And that's why we originally, 5 years ago, started this expansion plan, which had a couple of hiccups, fits and starts, but really where we are today. In 2024, you probably know this, but we had a design committee. Eleanor is very involved with the land bank, and Tom Dixon, who was president at the time before me. And we worked with the CHA design firm to come up with a plan. We had a master plan, but we've cut it back to what we are looking to do today. And that moved forward. It was a lot of work, a lot of iterations to get costs down. But in April 2025, we went out with the IFB. And we got bidders in. In August 2025, we actually awarded the contract after, you probably know this, but because we are leasees, we have a long-term lease with the land bank. We have to go through the procurement process. So all the subs had to be vetted, but after that process, in August 2025, we signed the contract.
And prevailing wage.
Yes, prevailing wage. Yes. The land bank has been, extremely helpful. Eleanor and Rachel very involved in helping us through that whole process because we're not familiar with the procurement. It's a lot of extra work. And, frankly, it does eliminate some of the contractors that could do it otherwise because they don't want to go through procurement or they don't have the experience. And it does increase the cost. So the ultimate bid, lowest bid was at $1.703 million. And this is at the bottom of the sheet that I just passed out. So in August, we signed the contract. In September of this year, we decided along the land bank that we needed to hire, besides, Holgates is the general contractor, we needed expertise to actually represent our side. So we went for the land bank and they agreed generously to fund an OPM for us. And we hired, I don't know if you're familiar with Scott Anderson, who's done a lot of work on the island. And one of the things that made him attractive to us is he just recently completed the courts at Great Harbor that are right next door, the ball courts. So we were using him as an OPM.
PM.
OPM.
PM.
PM?
Just a project manager.
The owner's project manager will be for us, so project manager.
Oh,
Just a
sorry,
project
sorry.
manager.
PM.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was an OPM. That's right. You're the owners, we're the leases. So,
Yeah, he's European.
okay, so he's our project manager. Okay. On Tuesday, we just had a meeting with Scott Holgates, and myself, another representative from NRSA. The property is getting staked next week. Blackwell is our surveyor. And when that's done, Holgates is ready to go and we should be breaking ground by, in the next couple of weeks. So this project is happening and it's going through. And the timeline that they assure me can happen, and I know there's always hiccups in this, but they can. The land is actually had already been cleared at one point, a long time ago in 2022, when we thought we were going ahead with the project. They have to come back and totally regrade the land. They think that is all that is doable by Thanksgiving, and then they can pour the slabs. Holgates is doing, all the site prep work. And they are doing the slabs there's 2 Fidel courts that take just a regular concrete slab. for the 4 pickleball courts, it takes specialized post-tension slab. And the company that's the subcontractor for Holgate's is called Cape and Island Tennis. They've done a lot of work on the island. They did Great Harbor courts, they did the Westmore courts, and they're really experts. So they'll do the post-tension concrete. The idea is to get all that done by the time the weather turns bad. Then when spring comes around and it warms up, we do the final court work, which would be painting the pickleball courts and some work on the padel courts that have to be done when the weather is better. But we are very excited. It's a long time coming with this. We've been before you many times, and we're excited about this. One thing we did is, and knock on wood, this project's done, we had gone to 400 members. And again, we are open to the public. So the membership just gives you the, you pay one fee and then you play for, you don't have to pay each time. As a non-member, you could always reserve courts and pay for $15, but we had 400 members. We reopened that. We went out to the public and said, everyone has been excited about this project, and we had 135 people respond. And our goal is to get to 500 members. And we already have, 500 members. So that happened very quickly. We brought in the members, they start October 1st. It's a prorated year because it finishes, our fiscal year ends in June, so they'll get a membership. They can play paddle, they can play in the leagues, play in tournaments that at this point, because of capacity constraints, are restricted to members. So that's very exciting. And I talked about it before, Devin, that was here earlier, happens to play a ton of pickleball over, talking about the community. This is something that is actually a big part of the community. And because of capacity, we don't really advertise that much, but we do things with the new school. We have Strong Winds that comes over and uses courts, and this is all, free. We don't charge them. Once we get these new courts, we can do much more of that. So we're really excited about that. But anyway, we're going through with this project. The reason I'm here and asking for 400,000 is we do have a funding gap. The project at the end of the day came in higher than we expected at 1.703 million. If you look at this sheet that I gave you, this is where everything stands. We have the original $980,000 grant, which we've submitted the numbers under there. That gets that to 681. Then we have a fiscal 24 and 25 grant that is, unspent at this point. The 19,775 is back from a 21 grant for the lights that we didn't spend the full $80,000. So that's where we stand. What we have spent, the numbers down below are things we've spent and not submitted yet, which leaves us with $1.4297 million coming from the CPC and a project cost of 1.703 for a gap of 273,000. I asked for 400,000 because we know that the general thing is that the current landscaping plan is kind of minimal relative to what we know we have to do eventually. The back part, if you look, we have the plot plan. The back part of our lot is adjacent to the Novadear sports fields and adjacent to the bike path. And when we cleared, it kind of got cleared too much, to be frank. So we have no buffer between the land and the bike path and no buffer between that land and the fields. And we know that we're going to have to add more landscaping and irrigation that's not included in the current bid. So that's the round up to $400,000. The reason we were comfortable going ahead, because you might ask, why would we go ahead with a funding gap, is we do, we have now 500 members paying, $400 to $500 a year. So that we take in about over $200,000 of revenue plus guest fees. But we want to come out of this in a strong fiscal position. We don't really want it, we don't want to use our cash. We will, we have to. But we're gonna have to maintain the court, 14 courts, a hut. We just out of, out of our own pocket, just spent $120,000 to refurbish the paddle courts and put in a new fence. And the big goal of ours is to keep costs low for the people that use our courts, because it is a community. It's, we feel it's a good bargain on the island to pay $500 to get sort of unlimited play, or to go to a drop-in to play 2.5 hours for $15. And we don't want to change that.
I know you're all done.
And then the other thing is we are volunteer run, so, we think that ultimately for next year, we want to potentially hire like a rackets professional, someone to be there to run drop-ins, to run the tournaments, to give lessons, which we've had pros come over from other organizations on the island, and people want lessons, or we fly people in. We don't fly them in, but they come in to give paddle lessons. So we want to hire in the spring, once this is done, a rackets professional, and we're starting to think about how that would work.
Right,
So
we
that-
gotta-
Yeah.
because we've got.
Sorry.
14 people.
Okay, no.
But
Okay,
I
so I'm
know,
done.
we're
I'm
all well
finished.
aware of you guys, but, I know you got a question.
This is
You
a
woke
quick-
up.
this is a quick- I just want to also highlight that you are a year-round facility. There is
Yeah.
winter play there too. And the other thing that you didn't have time to mention was, if I didn't hear you talk about, how you have outreach to, like my son who just graduated from college, like that age group.
Yeah.
Trying to get them into a whole community play, which I think is great. I just want to bring that up.
Yeah.
Because there are other things you do that you didn't have time to present that
Yeah.
are really beneficial to the community in terms of outdoor recreation. The one thing is that someone else will probably bring up is if you have to cut, because we have this massive ask. Yeah, your breakdown is 273 and change for the minimal ask. And then you have that 192 to kind of round it up to the landscaping. But if we need to come back to you and say we have X pot of money for this cause.
The 1703 is the cost. So that would be, yes.
Just.
But
I mean,
right,
the-
the
The
273.
1.73, yeah,
Yeah,
the 273 would be
The minimal ask.
the gap, yes.
because we've got over $8 million worth of stuff, but we also like to continue to close things that we started with. And we've been with you 5 years.
And they can't
Yes.
raise money. They're not able to have 501(c)(3) status, so
Why?
they can't.
Because they're making money.
It's not a nonprofit.
No, it's not a
It's
nonprofit.
not educational,
50.
religious, or,
They're 501(c) something.
Seven,
Seven.
Yeah.
Okay, 7.
because
We can only
I know
do
we've looked into that,
20%.
but because we're a sports club and we can't, we can't take that. People can't take tax deductions to give us money.
Can't deduct.
And we're also limited to the percentage we can
Percentage you
take
can
as a
take.
part of our revenues, which are $200,000. So I think we could take $30,000 or something in a year, something like that.
But
But
we
you
could
can't
only
raise
give you.
We can't raise money.
If
Not
the only
quite raise.
thing we can do is give you the 273 this year, you'll take it and run.
Of course.
Can you accept gifts?
No, it's,
Yeah,
Accept this?
The power to be is saying no.
Yeah. That's why I asked.
personally, or.
We really gotta wrap up.
We gotta
because
go.
We're waiting.
Sorry,
Do you have-
I spoke.
quick question. Specify your contingency in your landscape, in your,
If we don't fund the
if
landscape.
we don't fund it now, make sure we know what it is for future.
Okay,
Yeah, we have trouble with contingencies or island rates and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. But otherwise, if we can only give you the 273 because we got so many assets.
Yeah.
Dang it.
that's understandable.
Great. All
Thank you.
right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At some point, Linda, you retire? We'll see.
Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Say hi to Norman for me.
Thank you.
Big job.
We made it.
And Linda,
We can see,
make you feel old.
can see you. I'm sorry.
Aaron is 48.
I was just gonna say that Jessica's actually 9, or needed to join.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you were setting this up for her.
Right, well, She did let me know that she may be able to
Yeah,
join.
it turned out that
but she
the
can't.
procedure was scheduled
Yeah.
for this morning, so
Yeah.
she.
Okay. Introduce yourself.
Hello, so I am Piper Hollis and you are?
I am Stephanie Hankey,
Yes.
Associate Director of Nantucket Safe Harbor for Animals.
I have been working with Nisha for 5 years. Our executive director really wanted to be here, but was called out of state for a family medical emergency. This has been a dream of hers for over 10 years, so she really wanted to have this conversation. To give a quick background, Nisha has been in existence since 2012 as its own 501c3. Prior to that, MSPCA was on island. When MSPCA left, a group of volunteers formed the 501c3. They've been renting space in the back of Offshore Animal Hospital, so they have about 700 square feet. They have been looking for land now for 8-10 years. 2 years ago, we're very lucky to have a donor offer to pay to purchase 2 acres of land out by the airport. And so we are in capital campaign for a larger than just this memorial garden that we're talking about today, that will have a animal rescue and education building, this memorial garden, and workforce housing. The memorial garden is something that has really been part of the dream since the days of MSPCA, but there has been no space. We know that Offshore Animal Hospital does cremations of over 300 animals a year, and then there are certainly summer residents whose pets pass away in the off season. There's nowhere on island right now for people to go to either have a service or to pay homage and respect and really either in that time when you're making that really difficult end of life decision to reflect, to have a space, to have a service, have a place that you can go for years to really think about those family members that have passed away with 4 legs. This space will be open to the public. And when we talk with donors about the overall, the $20 million project, including everything I just mentioned, everyone we talk to lights up when we talk about this memorial garden. It is very clearly something that people are craving an opportunity to have a space to go. We would anticipate that hundreds of people will be dropping by. I would imagine we'll have at least 2 or 3 people there a day, knowing folks will come to the building for other reasons as well. We will have signage on the road, on Airport Road, that is for Nisha, and that also a memorial garden open to the public. We will partner with other nonprofits or churches to also do blessings of the animals, to do group memorials throughout the year, maybe a couple of those throughout the year. We will offer having memorial experiences for families at the time when a pet passes away. We'll have senior days and children's days where seniors can come. This will be handicap accessible, but something that is more specific to them where they feel more comfortable coming. And there's sort of a group memorial that's taking place, activities for kids that are able to come, maybe draw pictures of their pets that have passed away and have an experience that keeps those family members alive for them. What is it going to be? It is, so the lot that we have is on the corner of Evergreen and Airport Road. The entrance will be off of Airport Road for the education building and rescue building. And then everything to the right of that along the whole lot will be part of this memorial garden. So we will have, it's 6,760 square feet dedicated to the memorial garden. It will include native plantings, grass, drought tolerant and low maintenance landscaping, a pathway that goes in the package that you have. You can see sort of overhead images I can show if you want to see that, but it will have a pathway that goes along to a sort of, think a roundish patio with a water fountain, granite seating, a memorial sort of wall, stones with pets' names in them that people can get. because it is in an area that is, it's across from the airport and it is on one side of where the Memorial Garden is, behind it, there is a residence. And then to the right side of where the Memorial Garden is, there is a car rental agency. So we will have privacy fencing and plantings that keep this quiet and peaceful and serene. And then also that water feature will be additional sort of sound to keep it peaceful and quiet. This portion of the project, you can see the budget is $1.24 million. That does include, however, the purchase of the land, which has already been paid for. So it's $840,000 without that. That includes this space. It's a 2-acre lot. And we did have to remove a home, which is not part of this cost, but we had to level, grade, prepare the space. So we included 1/10 of the amount that it cost to do that for the whole 2-acre lot, because 1/10 of that space is the Memorial Garden space. The one thing that has changed a bit from what you have in your packets is the parking. We have determined it will be better for the natural environment to have some of the parking actually will be, it's going to be grass, and it's only overflow when we have a larger group coming for something. So if you look, we're on the right-hand side where it's currently, there's parking both on the left and right. It will be paved all on the left-hand side, and on the right, we're going to have just a couple of spaces and then grass. That's the only thing that has adjusted. We have raised towards the overall $20 million goal, including the cost of the land, $12.5 million. We have an additional $500,000 grant that was just approved by a foundation that is being used as a matching grant. So they will release those funds as we have pledges that come in between now and the year. We anticipate being at 15 million by the end of this calendar year towards that overall $20 million goal. If we were to come up short, so the plan is we have cleared that lot, and we are cash flowing some of the construction to build a weather tight shell of the rescue building, because we really want to stay ahead of increasing construction costs. We have worked very closely. So Scott O'Connor is from O'Connor Custom Builders, is a emeritus board member, and he is volunteering what seems to be 15 hours a week on this project right now, and has his staff working on it for free as our sort of owner's rep. He is working with Scott Anderson, who I know Mark just talked about, seems to be everywhere. There are only so many people on the island who are involved in construction. But Scott and Scott are really incredible. They're both supporters of NSHA. And so they have been, I don't want to say strong arming, but they have been very clear with their subcontractors that if there is a time that they expect them to be kind and generous and have in-kind gifts, it would be now. We did see Scott O'Connor brought down the cost of the landscaping. We're working with Taylor Hughes of Hughes Landscaping. And we did bring down the cost of what the original architectural design was to be more in line with what a nonprofit really should be. But it's important to us that this is a very peaceful, serene space for people going through a difficult time or to have joyful memories years on. And also that it feels like a Nantucket natural space.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
When we go to Q&A now, questions and
Yeah.
answers if you're finished.
I am finished, yeah.
Great. Just to clarify, because I know who's gonna ask, the 725 is only for the landscaping, hardscaping?
Landscaping,
Not the building.
hardscaping, and some of the a portion of the parking, because we want to have parking that is dedicated specifically to
It's
this.
hardscaping, it's not part of the building or any of the.
It's
other-
not part of the building, that's all completely separate.
Okay, questions?
Just maybe a suggestion more than a question. Jesse Dutry here, sorry, I'll put my I was just thinking based on the landscaping budget, and I've done this a lot, and I think it means a lot to people who are have lost a loved one, whether it's a human or a pet, is having a tree in memory of them. So
Yeah.
this might be a really good opportunity to kind of get a win-win situation where you have a particular person who wants to donate some landscaping into as a tree, for example, in memory of their pet, or even a, you know, possibly a donor or a loved one.
Yes.
And it kind of goes in hand with that it's a memorial garden. So
Right. So Jesse, thank you for bringing that up. As we think about the ongoing maintenance costs of this in the future, there are two pieces. So one is part of the overall capital campaign is 2 million in an endowment specific for maintenance and landscaping for, you know, coming years for the full property. We also will have opportunities for people to purchase stones to, there will be various things at various levels that people can do over the years, not just when we first open, but to honor their pets in the long term. And that funding will be specific, will pay for ongoing maintenance and landscaping.
And trees was one.
And trees was one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
So we had the benches people could name, stones, trees and
Trees.
bushes. Yes, thanks,
Um,
Jesse.
My only question.
thank you, no problem, thank you.
You've heard it earlier that we have over $8 million worth of requests, and
Yes.
I went over it with Brian yesterday, and we have about 4 million to spend. We're going over the other accounts to see what else is out there. 725, that's one of our bigger asks. And if we had to have a priority list and we couldn't fund it all,
Mhm.
can you put that together and send it to Glenna
Absolutely.
in the next 2 weeks?
Sure.
Because of it, we've got some huge
Of
asks here.
course, yes.
And some of our biggest this year are in open space, which is, we usually don't. We maybe have one open
Right.
space a year.
You
So-
told me you never have any.
Hopefully that's good for the
Yeah,
island.
and we
that
put
there
it
will be
into,
more
we
open
put it
space.
into reserve. So I've got Brian's going over how much we have in various reserves,
Mhm.
particularly open space. But if you have a priority list, if we had to spread it out
Yeah.
over this year and next year, remember the funds aren't available until next July.
Correct.
We had to spread it out over the next 2 or 3 years, and that's not uncommon. We have some projects been going on for decades
Mhm.
that we're still going through.
Yeah.
Break it down, so we can only give you a portion of it, because I don't see anybody here having a problem with this request. And it's one of those unique requests like we did on the Fairgrounds Road, and you come slide on up. We did a very unique thing on Fairgrounds Road with the Lighthouse School. And so we're beginning to see more creative
Mhm.
requests now,
Mhm.
but spread it out. If you can
Yeah.
spread it out, what do you gotta have now and spread it out?
Absolutely.
If you could do it in phase 1, 2, and 3, if that's
Okay.
necessary,
Yeah, sure.
and just send that list over to me.
Okay.
Eleanor,
I don't have a problem with the request. I have a problem with the amount.
well,
Which is a realist. I'm not saying there's anything false in what you presented. But given our limitations.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna echo what she said. I'm looking at like 200,000 for electricity. Maybe you can break that out. I guess that's what that would cost for that particular, because this is very good. Your breakout on page 13. Memorial garden only, but with the electricity. Is it really gonna cost $200,000 to bring electricity to the memorial garden?
So the reality is that is the cost to bring electricity onto the land.
Right,
And what I've
so-
done is separate out, it's 650,000 or 670,000 total to do that. So thinking about lighting along that path compared to what the rescue building would use. It's true, the rescue building will use more, so perhaps it is fair that we have a lower amount than 200,000. It's just that if we were not building anything, then it would cost 650,000 just to get this onto the
And
land,
you
but I
can-
think that's a good. point.
Solar light. My mother, who is handicapped, has these
Mhm.
wonderful solar lights.
Yeah.
They light everything up for her.
Yeah.
To save the money.
Yep.
Also less upkeep, generally speaking.
Mhm.
So I would just ask that you really tease out, this is good, you broke it out. That's
Mhm.
helpful to me when I look at it. Signage, is that signage? What's the signage?
So that would be signage at the road that is letting folks know that on this space, it's not just an animal rescue building, but there is a public park for a memorial garden. And then in the driveway to go down, and then some of the signage.
Information.
and-
No, that's important. The
Yeah.
CPC needs acknowledgement on this.
yeah, information signage.
Architect, landscape design, 23, it's just that, there's things I think you could pull out and figure out a way to fund internally, hopefully. I know how challenging that is, and it's easy to say, hard to do.
Or donated.
Yeah.
Donated.
In kind, and you've done an
Services.
amazing job fundraising for this, and I think it's really cool, like I have lots of deceased pets, I have a little cemetery in my own house, and I would want a place to go, and I've adopted all of my pets from Nisha, like I have.
Thank you.
A lot of pets from Nisha, so I'm all for Nisha, I'm all for the project, but I have this amount is exorbitant
It's high for
compared to
us.
what we can do
Yeah.
this year.
So just
Totally
definitely
understand.
spread it out.
Yeah, so we will get, I think we can get that to you early next week of what that would look like over time.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you, yeah, appreciate the time.
It's 10:41, Sarah. And just so you know, 10:45, we are supposed to take a break, so anything over, you're tapping into your break time. But Sarah.
Remember that.
Do not hold that
But
against.
Sarah,
me.
no, it's not against Sarah, though.
Did you bring cookies?
I
We are-
did not have any choice.
We are
of
well
when I
familiar
was
with this
here.
project.
Oh, yeah.
And you've been pretty
You don't have
judicious
to
about,
about the hour continue,
Okay.
yep.
you've been pretty responsible about when you come back for money. You haven't come back for huge amounts. It's just, you got this project, you got this project, this project. So
We
you've been
try
building
to-
yourself out.
So I'm Sarah Boyce. I'm the Director of Research and Conservation at Linda Loring Nature Foundation. We try to come to you when we have a specific project. We don't look at it as an annual ask, I will say. And I know Glenna mentioned some of our previous open grants. One of our open grants that has more money in it still, I'm sorry, I don't have the exact amount on me. For fiscal year 2025, we've been working on the restoration of the area at the north head of Long Pond, and we're just waiting on an invoice right now from work that was done this fall with our contractor. It's been really successful. We haven't opened that area officially to the public yet because it's been under deconstruction and demolition basically and restoration. So with that liability issue, we've been taking tours over there. So I will say anyone is welcome to join us on our guided tours, but if you want to come out, you can reach out to us anytime, but hopefully the next year we'll open that to the public. So it's more of just people can go whenever they want. So this project at Linda Loring Nature Foundation is more about protecting the open space that we do have, both ours at Linda Loring, so our 275 acre property on the northwest end of the island, but also our surrounding open space partners. So our property is bordered to the to the west and to I think the southeast by Land Bank property. We have the Fisher's Landing Homeowners Association owns conservation open space that abuts our property in several sides. And so by creating or by trying to reduce fuel loads, which is basically burnable, heavy duty burnable landscape and vegetation, creating fire breaks and reducing fire potential in the area protects both properties. So we never know if, an unintended fire would start in our property or a neighboring property. And this is trying to reduce the potential spread.
But all the work is done on your property.
All the work, yes, thank you. All the work is being done on our property. But we looked at a few things, this has been planning for some time. We knew that, there was a significant fire potential in that area. In 2023, the town adopted the Community Wildfire Protection Plan that was paid for by the town. That's an island-wide fire plan. It was worked on during COVID, so there wasn't a lot of fanfare about it, but our property goes over zones 1 and 2, and in that plan, it's recommended to reduce fuel loads, reduce flammable Japanese black pine, which we have been doing since 2018, actually. And then, thinking of other ways of reducing fire potential. So we've been thinking about this for a while, but it came to a forefront more recently with our significant drought. We also had a very small fire on one of our neighbors during an extremely windy day, and they were to the north of us, and it was a northeast wind. And we were like, it just kind of like, I was gonna say lit the fire, but that's really cheesy to say. Calling the fire department, having them come down the road and seeing all the vegetation that was growing right against Eel Point Road 2 was also kind of made us really think hard that it has to be something that we take care of in a shorter time frame. So with that said, we have started to consult with
fire professionals to help guide us and where the fire breaks should be, how wide they should be. This is a very exacting science. And so we at Linda Loring are taking on the consulting part because it's, we wanted to get that started before any grant money would be available. So this funding is really for the on the ground work that would be done probably next fall. And so we're finalizing the plan right now. We know we'll have to go to natural heritage as a priority habitat, but they are generally favorable of this kind of project. Our habitats really like to be mowed anyway, so so all of that would be good. The only other thing I'd like to mention specifically is that, you know, our property is open year round to the entire public. We're really about, I mean, some of our previous grants with CPC have been about accessibility. And not only will the fire breaks create, you know, or help reduce fire potential, but they also will create access points for vehicles and trucks on purpose. So like if there is a fire, whether it's on our property or one of our neighboring properties, there is now kind of an access point, which is why there's also some line item in there for fencing. So we want to have like gates that can be closed. We don't want motor vehicles to go on these areas whenever they want. They're really for access, for site access. I think that's all that I had that I wanted to mention immediately, but if, I'm happy to answer any questions.
In other words, you're protecting what we've already paid for.
Yes, yes. I mean, before I started, I think CPC money was part of the initial money that helped create the the Linda Loring Nature
We've been
Foundation in the
involved with
first place.
Loring for a very long
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Anybody have any questions? Eleanor, back
Just,
there?
yes, I think all good. I mean, we're doing the same thing, so.
Thanks, Eleanor.
Anybody?
Latitude.
Ladder field, okay, so if you have a trees, like a forested area, ladder fields are the lower vegetation that can climb up. So you prevent a crown fire basically. So we don't have a lot of pitch pine habitat on our property, but where we abut Fisher's Landing Homeowners Association, there's significant pines, and they as a neighborhood are starting to do some to thin some of their pines, but it's very dense. So on our side, we'd like to reduce that ladder field, and then also where we abut Land Bank property on the southeast corner, there's some potential for ladder fields in there too.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't define that, I know.
No, it's fine. It's my.
Very interesting stuff. Very interesting. Okay, no questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Take a break, stand up. Okay, go for it, guys, introduce yourselves.
Great, thanks. So I'll introduce our team here. I'm Niles Parker, Director of the Nantucket Historical Association.
Good morning, I'm Joanna Richard, the CFO.
Good morning, Ed Rudd, Director of Facilities.
I'm Drew Hall, I'm project manager.
So this is our team that we have included in the applications, and take just a little time to talk about this application with the Candle Factory. Thank you very much for the support you've given over the years through various CPC grants and including this building. We're just wrapping up the previous grant, which was repair of the north wall, which has gone very well. And in fact, the contractors are there wrapping up a little bit on the inside and on the outside right now, and that should be done in the next couple of weeks. So
just in time.
Much better.
Trees and weeds.
Yeah, that's right. We were just talking about that this morning. So as part of that project, though, one of the things that we realized was the HVAC system that had been in there for about 20 years was contributing to the degradation of the mortar and the brick on that north wall, the way it had been designed and the way it was sort of pointed and blowing air, and the kind of air across that brick was leading to its deterioration. And so one of the things that we've asked for in this grant application is to replace that HVAC system so that it doesn't keep doing that. So that we still have good control of the air and the quality of the air in there, and doing it in a way that preserves the building. So that is part of this application as well. The windows that are in that part of the building are pretty dated. They're not historic buildings, but they're single pane. And so a lot of the air is just escaping through those windows, and they're in pretty poor shape from a structural point of view. So we wanted to repair those, replace those single pane windows. Accessibility is a key part of this as well. There has been a section of the museum in that space that has not been accessible to people in chairs or with issues climbing stairs. So redesigning part of that space with a new floor and a ramp that provides access throughout now. There's a key part of this as well. And then when doing that, we need to provide fire protection for that floor and that ramp area that covers part of that as well. So the fire protection, as well as the lighting that would be required in that space. So this grant looks at accessibility, looks at improved HVAC systems, looks at new windows to make sure that the envelope is secure. And will go a long way towards improving the use of this building going forward. I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in.
For the HVAC, we're looking, we have the line sets from the chiller going all the way to the candle factory. It's just having to put units to be able to control the air there. We're looking at putting returns in place with the HVAC. We're looking at controls to modulate the heat and air in that system. The supply air ducts are spiral ductwork, and so they'll have movable vents that will not go against the brickwork, but will go off on 45-degree angle to still give that curtain against the exterior wall. But it's gonna go a long way to keep that building in a much better climate control. The windows, we did 7 Fair Street, the Green Mountain windows, and we're looking at Green Mountain for the window replacements there.
Double glazed, I take it.
Double glazed, yeah. Yeah.
You have to have it. Does anybody have any questions about this one? We've done all the work on that building. We brick the roof and this, and that, and this. And is this one of the last requests for that candle factory now for a while?
We're not planning on anything certainly for next year. As we're gonna talk, we've got to shift our focus to the mill and for a lot of reasons, but
It pretty much, it gives you the climate control envelope for that building.
It does.
Everything leaking out of it.
there's future work that's gonna have to happen on the front of the building in terms of mortar and the brick that we already see happening there. We've installed a vibration monitor in there. We're already seeing sort of what's going on as trucks go by and you look at what's happening to the mortar in that space. So that's a project that we're gonna have to come back to, but you know what the current project is that we're wrapping up right now with that back wall looks fantastic and it's in so much better shape. I mean, it was really structurally compromised. It's not now. I mean, that's gone a long way. So
We got rid of that window.
thank you. Yeah, and I think getting rid of those windows went a long way too.
Here at that wall, that's better.
Yeah.
Eleanor, do you have anything to ask? No. Okay, anybody have any questions? We know the building. Okay. On and upward to
The mill.
to the big problem.
Yeah. So I just want to, at the outset, want to acknowledge that this is a big ask. It's a big project. The mill, and thanks again for your support on the mill. When we came before you last time, we knew there were some issues there. We planned to strip the shingles from the outside, do the roof, and take care of some of the issues that we knew about. As we started peeling the layers of the onion, it became evident pretty quickly that there was a lot going on that needed our attention. So we've been working with Husk Preservation, Amy Boyce, who is a mill expert. It's all she does around the world, looking at mills, and with ICR, looking at the historic preservation approach to the structure. And without getting into the deep details on this, it's a really complicated building. It doesn't look like it. It looks like a fairly small building, but the shape, the timber framing, and the fact that it's a working windmill with those wooden gears on the inside and how that's been run, and then how it's been restored over the years, with various types of wood.
Don't use that word restored.
Epoxy, sorry, good point.
I saw the pictures of that, so.
A lot's happened. You're right. This is the iconic structure on the island. I mean, it is, it's the mill. I mean, we have more items in our collection. Our curator was giving a talk the other day. We have more items in our collection that feature images of the mill on it than we do of whales necessarily. I mean, the mill is the structure. And I think this is really the historic preservation project probably in our history at the NHA. I just think this is the project. It's really the icon. And again, as we started peeling those layers of the onion and realizing how deep the issues went, just the fact that the ground has settled and there might be something going on below that changes everything. And so the mill operates by turning that cap into the wind. And when that rail that it sits on and turns on has shifted slightly and cracked, it affects everything else coming down through it. And then the big tail pole that sticks off of that, same thing. It's a massive load that projects off of that. And so it's become quite an engineering issue to how to structure that. So we have, using the funds that you've already given us, as you know, we've stripped the outside, we've looked exhaustively at the inside, at the mechanical part of it. We've installed monitoring systems in the ground right next to the base on the building to give us data on what's the impacts are for the structure as it relates to climate, humidity, sensors into the wood, that type of thing. Starting to get a real complete picture of the work that needs to happen. And so again, using these two contractors to sort of give us this picture, we're looking at a multi-year project that really takes it down to a stick-by-stick analysis of this structure and what we have to do it right. And so that it continue to be a working mill going into the future. That's our end goal, is that this continues to be the oldest operating windmill in the country. But it's a lot. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. And so over the next several months, we're going to continue to install scaffolding around the mill that'll protect the mill for starters, but will allow us the access, will let us to remove the cap, will let us to get it into the grindstone inside of there and handle all of that accordingly. That scaffolding is going to be a big project, but a critical one for the whole project going forward. That work and continuing to do the analysis of what has to happen, which wood needs to get sourced, what happens in sort of what time frame. That'll all happen between now and July, so that we're in position to get to that next phase.
And that's the money we've already given you.
That's right. In addition to some other funding that we're looking into, and we are, I mean, providing the funds for our staff time and other funds that we're gonna be putting into this is gonna be significant.
Medical
So,
storage has grants, but not huge, but.
yeah, I mean, we know we have to find other sources of funds for this, but wanted to come back to you to give you an update on the project. I know a lot of people think, well, nothing's happening up there. I know it looks that way. I can tell you there's a lot happening up there. It's just a lot has to go on in terms of the analysis inside and making sure we totally understand what's happening to that structure, so that when we fix it, we're fixing it right and it's safe and we can operate.
Fix the damage that was done to it in 1985 or whatever it
Yeah.
was.
So, and that's, you look at the epoxy, and at the time, it's sort of considered best practice by putting this epoxy into various parts of the mill, but
Yeah.
we now know that wasn't, and it's
They tore
weakened.
that whole north or east wall off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, there are a lot of issues there. And again, because of the way it's constructed, because of what you can't see, as you start to peel off the sheathing, as you start to look behind the timber frame, that's when the realization comes into clearer view that there's a lot wrong that needs to be fixed. So,
We saw you roll up there.
so anyway, we're happy to talk about this again, and I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything to it.
Question.
John,
As you're collecting the data from these contractors, I'm sure they're gonna come up with a plan on how to do this and a timeline, right? So that would be good information for us if we don't have.
Yeah.
This ask, right now,
at
but
the end, yeah.
if we know kind of the organizational timeline of what has to be done and when.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
We have sort of the parameters on that. But again, there's a lot we don't know because it's probably some stuff we haven't found yet, but we know, as I said, between now and July, what we intend to do in terms of putting the scaffolding around the structure, make sure it's protected, continue to do the analysis on it, come up with that complete plan about what wood needs to be sourced, what happens in what order. And then in July, that work continues. But from what they're telling us, we're looking at through 26 and 27 with a wrap up in, I think we said February of 28. I think that's a pretty good guess.
Yeah.
I think it's that extensive of a project. If that can speed up, that's great. But I don't want to say that it's going to at this point. And then on the cost as well, the contractors have come back with a range of numbers for us, and we included that in the application. What we did is we took their low end in terms of the ask and said, we're gonna if there's overage on that, and if is more extensive, we're gonna cover that. So we didn't know quite how to do that in a fair way with the CPC, because if we ask for the high end and then it's lower. So, you know, we took the opposite approach.
You know what they say about Nantucket construction? Go out and get 3 estimates, and add them all together, and that's what's fantastic.
Yeah, Nantucket premium. Neville, did you have your hand up?
Thank you for your answer.
Biggest problem, right? So you're basically saying right now, structurally, the building is not, in my own head, the building is not sound for you to go and do the work that has to be done in terms of shingling and all that. And you're saying that the experts that you have coming in now, using sound and whatever they're using, to check the structure of the building.
Yep.
Is that what you're saying is gonna go until 28?
Oh, no.
So.
That's gonna go until July.
Okay. 'Cause
At-
that's the
at-
time
at
I'm
the
talking
outset.
about. Okay, because that's what I'm.
The
interested in.
entire project will be done. We'll be up and working again by.
Right, but you cannot do anything until that's done. Until that survey has taken place and whatever repairs has to take place. Just to make the building structurally sound. Until you get that done, you can't go forward with the other work that has to be done.
I'd say for the most part, yes, that's true. They have done enough work and have seen enough to know certain things that absolutely have to happen.
Yeah.
But until we maybe start doing some of that work.
Yeah.
Or continue to get assessments on what's going on with the groundwater and the structure beneath that, there are some things we probably don't know yet that will impact.
Yeah, but I'm one of those people that go by and say like, what's going on? You know, do 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Could you remind me, maybe Glenn, I know this, I'm looking at the spreadsheet you sent us yesterday with the, as of yesterday. Expenditures for your FY, the last thing you came to us was fiscal year 25 for the old mill.
Yeah.
Yep. What was that grant, do you know, when it said 181,749, is that what remains or what's been spent on your?
That is, what remains.
What remains?
As of yesterday, that means.
340.
So have you not completed that project? You probably said something about this, but I was focusing on.
They haven't put vouchers in for it, but I haven't signed any.
No, we haven't, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
they haven't put anything in yet.
Do you think you're gonna be using all that?
Yes.
We do.
absolutely.
Okay.
But part of, because of the nature of what we have discovered as part of that work that's gone on,
Oh, wow.
we had to sort of hit pause to say, well, we can't keep doing what we thought we were gonna do, or at least all of it, because we really have to address this bigger issue.
So when you address the bigger issue, we go back to the draw for this money to complete the FY 25 project.
That's our plan.
That'll get them
That's
to
our hope.
July.
That's the work that I mentioned would take us through July,
Yeah.
getting the scaffolding up and protecting the mill and continuing to do the analysis. That Neville was just asking
And
about.
then the only other thing I would say is, it's a big ask.
It's-
We've said this to anybody who was over $200,000, this is well over that. So if you can break it down, if there's things you can not eliminate, but
Yeah.
parse to a future fiscal year ask, will be helpful because we want to support, you know, it's not sunken costs here. Obviously, it's something we want to keep supporting, but it's big.
It is, we understand that. We understand that, and we are looking at ways to find additional funding sources. There are things that we did include that were in the original proposal, the one that you funded last year, like the building of the accessible education shed that was gonna be on the site near there. We'd still like to do that. That's in here.
That's not Fred's shed.
But that's what, yeah, right, no, we'll have to come up with a different name for it, but. You know, that's one that we could probably look at, that's gonna go to the tail end of this project now anyway.
Yeah, push that
That-
out.
You know, we can push that for sure.
Cause you can use the funds that we gave you, and you just don't do that. part of it. We're not forcing you to do that part of it. If you need more funding for this part through July, so, right? Cause then this funding doesn't come to you until July 1 of
Right.
next year anyway. So I mentioned to you guys earlier that we need a phased approach here, if we can't give you all that money now.
Yep.
We're all in complete support, I think, of this project. One of the comments that I heard last week was, 2 weeks ago, is that it seems to be exposed to the elements. And we all know how bad it's been. It took me
Yeah.
4 days to get my car out. Just got it this morning. Is there a way to protect it without smothering it so it starts to rot,
So that's what
other
this,
than
sorry.
tar paper?
They already said they're doing that.
so that's what this scaffolding is gonna do in part and why it's,
But it's not gonna
Hey.
protect it from the elements.
yeah, it's gonna get wrapped.
We're gonna wrap it.
It's, yeah, we're working with a scaffolding designer to
Okay.
build this in a way that structurally protects it, so it's gonna be going through and not putting any weight loading on the building.
And not suffocating it.
And not suffocating, so there's gonna be space for ventilation, we're gonna be able to use it too to help get the cap off when that comes through, and the tail pole when that comes off. And then to protect it against the elements, particularly over the winter
Cause
time.
that's
So,
what I hear most, is that I'm like, ah.
Yeah,
Like exposed.
yeah,
But we go through the mill, we're in there, I'm in there, and with the tar paper and the shingles off. So there is ventilation, you'd see little bits of hole, but actually there's less water coming in the building now with the new paper on than it was before, because there are a couple little items that we did to stop up where the water was coming into. And of course, everybody sees the mill, so with the scaffolding, everything like that. We have to be well aware that we are, like, if anybody drives by, inspector goes by or anything like that, we're right up to code with everything,
But they'll see
everything's
you
safe.
protecting the mill, and that's the biggest issue that everybody keeps coming up.
I think that's right.
How are you gonna protect it while you're working on it? And that, you've addressed that, that's great.
Madam Chair. Mouse through, the chair.
yes,
If you could send me an addendum where you phase out the project and your immediate needs for now, just send that to me, and I'll get it to the commissioners.
so how we're proposing to use the balance of the current grant.
No.
No, not that.
Oh, I see,
You're asking for.
going forward.
Yeah,
That
phase
point.
phase is
Got
2.8 now.
Right, right.
Phase that 2.8.
Phase that out, and even if it takes up to 5 phases, I've seen with one of our other projects where I think we're in phase 5 right now. But it was a huge project and it's been successful, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, great.
So will you be doing vibration monitoring there as well?
In all likelihood, we were talking about that yesterday in this class, just to sort of see what's going on with that
Yeah.
foundation and the.
I mean, there was a section beyond you, more down the end of the street, that watching and hearing trucks go by and just the banging. And I was like, God, what would happen up the street? So I'm kind of glad that you would look into that. If there is like a pothole, that's gonna impact your site, be devastating.
Some of those, not the vibration, but most of the other systems are already installed and working and starting to generate data, but
Sure.
Okay,
I think that is something that we should be including probably.
but
so.
I love the scaffolding that you guys are gonna be able
Yeah,
to
I
work in
think
there.
that's a great idea.
Doesn't matter the weather, you're gonna be able to keep moving and then keep everything dry, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah,
Ready to
we
go.
have to do it. And just lastly, and thanks very much for your time and for your support in the past and for this
Well, thank
project.
you. I think we're all wedded to the mill.
So I would just say that, when we started to kind of realize the scope of this and have that sort of moment, I raised my hand saying that my reaction was pretty negative. But as we've been looking into it and the more we sort of do the work, I am pivoting to, this is gonna be a really cool project. Like, I mean, it is the iconic structure and it's gonna be the historic preservation project.
And
I think it's
it's
gonna be really cool and we'll start sharing what we're learning and seeing.
It is.
Because everybody walks by and everybody's curious about it and
But when our kids were young and when he was young, we used to take our kids to the mill on like a 3rd or 4th grade, and they would grind.
you remember
Right
we
in
used to
front of
take
us.
them over to the oldest house and bake the bread
Oh,
on the
yeah, I
hearth.
mean, it's great stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Well, thank you very much for coming in,
Thank you.
guys, but get the
Appreciate it.
phasing thing to Glenn everything. next
You have a
couple of weeks.
contact for this old house?
It's funny you say that, Tim. We just did.
Need up in the chair.
At our last properties committee, somebody made that recommendation, and so I reached out to them to say, would you be interested in, this is a project. We'll see if that goes anywhere, but
Well, there could be other places that you can get grants from besides Mass Historic, because this is iconic, as you said.
Yeah.
And there may be other national preservation trusts or, things like
May I
that.
ask one more question?
Yeah, we
about
gotta
it?
go, but keep going.
The world renowned person that you brought in just knows windmills.
Oh, Amy?
Millwright.
Amy,
yeah.
If she had to give the mill a grade, with A being tip top shape, F being the worst, where does that mill stand? Just.
From a condition, from talking with her, I think she would say this is the mill. I mean, this is an A in terms of the mill, in terms of its history and its structure. From condition and its current state,
Yeah.
I'd be putting words in her mouth, but it's not an A. I mean, it's
All right.
it's probably not it's not a C. I mean, there's a lot that has been done that has kept it to be in relatively good working order. We've been lucky that some things haven't happened probably.
Except for that previous ripped the wall off thing.
But still, they are so excited, her whole group,
That's
The
very,
main thing is that nobody has gone in and put a motor in or put a fake wall,
Yeah.
any sort of update thing. So
Gotcha.
they're like, this is the only, I'm telling you, this is the only mill that has not been, you know, bastardized or anything like that.
Yeah, that's why I think she'd give that an A. Like, I think
Yeah.
100%.
all right,
She's
guys.
really
What a great
excited about
story.
it.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you all.
HPC did get a light on the whole time.
I know.
We already did the like kinds.
We're ahead of
The
schedule.
mill, yeah. Not for the other thing.
Oh, no, it's a dollar.
Call me about that.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you. We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, we
we're
are.
ahead of
So I got a
schedule
big
now.
goal.
That's good. That's
Okay,
good.
coming next, Hallie.
I love the chip. I'm good with that. Thanks a lot.
I have to really be
Thanks.
downtown about 1:10, we lose our spot. Go for it. Holly.
Hi,
What have you done?
Oh, thanks.
We're gonna see her for
We can
4 in
see
a row
you.
here.
Yes, the owl, I'm so used to that. So thank you for having me, Holly Backus, Town Preservation Planner. I have 4 projects for your consideration. 2 of them, I don't know if Sari's in the Zoom yet. Clary Larkin, she's a professor at University of Florida's Preservation Program. Also the director of the Preservation Institute in Nantucket. That's been around since 1972. There's the 2 projects that we have with PIN is one to continue the West Monomoy neighborhood survey. Didn't bring the map, but I do have the survey plan, so briefly. Through our CLG status, we were able to create a survey plan for the entire NHL, entire local and national historic district, which includes Tucker and Muskegon. This was funded by us as federal taxpayers through Congress that gets allocated to state historic preservation offices. And then because we're a state a certified local government, we were able to apply for that funding. This is our plan to survey the entire island. This plan is approximately about a 10-year project. We can only do it with our public and private partnership together, not just for or with the money that could be allocated to the town through the CLG, through MHC. Historic preservation funding at the federal level, as you probably all are aware, is a little bit in the rocks at the moment. So with that said, CPC, for those of you not know, I was probably the only high school student that was championing for CPC back in 2000, before you all enacted it at town meeting in 2001. So it's near and dear to my heart, and definitely understand what it's for. So again, I appreciate being here for this. The West Monomoy area. So this project has been involved with the students with the Preservation Institute in Nantucket, doing the recon survey. So we received funding from you all last fiscal year to get that going. You're talking about the West Monomoy, New Guinea area, which has a lot of layers, a lot of what we call undocumented as well as structures that are no longer in existence. That needed to have that survey work. That project for the recon is coming up to an ending point.
Explain to everybody where West Monomoy is there. Everybody knows.
5 corners where the African meeting house is, that whole area.
York Street.
That was laid out in 1727. And one thing I think I need to explain is when we created the survey plan, we had some of these areas. I had a consultant that said, okay, you need to divide the island. Well, how do you do that on an island that's been created organically, right? We have the 1717 fish lots and 1727. And then really, we didn't have any regulated subdivisions because we were what? Sheep farming, right? We had sheep commons. So everything else didn't really happen until we got subdivision control law in 1955, right? So everything else, there really wasn't boundary lines, if you will. So with the help of our civic league boundary lines and those historic boundary lines, then we created the neighborhood map. And there's about 59, I think, survey neighborhoods. Some of them we had to, my consultant said, well, you need to also think about what
a consultant can actually go out there, architectural historians, and survey. So that's kind of where that went through. And I think through the work that the Penn students and University of Florida this past summer was able to do is look at, well, wait a minute, you know, we kind of need to include this area. So sometimes the boundary lines kind of bleed into other areas, which is fine, because we think in Nantucket, we have no donut holes in our jurisdiction. So with that said, this next phase is to actually create those survey forms. Now, Massachusetts Historical Commission has a very robust format for our surveys. The last large municipal effort was done in 1988, believe it or not. The town received a $10,000 grant from the state, and those surveys are available on Macris. And then for some reason, I was at the elementary school, so I have no idea what happened, but the town did work, and those are all available at the MHC, at the Plus office, but nothing is available online with Macris. As well as the format, the methodology has changed. That's what we call a window survey. A lot of times it was like, oh, that's a Greek revival. Oh, that's a typical Nantucket, like that's about it. Whereas the in-depth survey forms, which don't want to put you on the spot, Joe, but I know you've seen the Form Bs. The Form Bs are extensive. It gives you the social, cultural history. It also ties back to, if you know Charles H. Robinson, who built the life-saving station out in Surfside, he also built a lot of iconic structures in town. So the point is, it links everything together. We can actually say, he built this one, and it'll give you, if you ever follow me on HGC, you'll hear or see my comments, you'll see that I'll indicate NAN and NAN dot whatever. That's the MHC survey number, and that will go throughout forever. Oh, here's Clary. Awesome. So maybe Clary can give you a little bit more of an idea where they stand on that. But this next phase is to actually create those forms. And we're very excited to actually be able to include those within our survey work.
So to cut to the chase.
Yes.
Because you got 4 of them. This is to actually codify all the information that they assembled this summer.
Yes.
So this finishes that phase of it.
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions about this one? No one back there?
No. As a former title examiner, I love this stuff.
I do, I do it all the time. I do it all the time.
And then on that note too, a lot of the history that has been provided for, say, what the HGC needs for historic determinations, because HGC is the authority that dictates whether or not a structure is contributing or not, and for you to be able to apply for, say, exemptions under the building code, all that history, that raw history that's provided, so I can generate the letter. That information is also going to be given to whoever is doing the architectural survey work.
And we all
Go
know
into
2 of
it,
us here
so-
are obsessed with this stuff. So,
Carry in my office, like she finds things, and I'm like, where,
I
it's just unbelievable some of the stuff you find on a house.
I go to
Or post-
ancestry.com a lot of times.
And then-
I find crazy stuff on.
Yeah.
But I want also
Stuff.
to really hone in on that rich cultural, social history that you can only get from actually interviewing people in the neighborhood, getting information from their family, to really understand, looking at the deeds. They go very, very, very far back, doing that title examining aspect of it too. That all plays into making sure we have a robust.
Go to the next one.
This was 140.
Yeah. And that's
Yes.
140 also. Go to the next one.
And Clary, you're muted. If you want to speak, you need to unmute yourself.
Hi, Clary.
Can you hear us? Oh, okay.
Wait,
Hi, I'm so sorry. You
Here you
guys are
go.
running ahead of schedule.
Yeah, keep going. Go to the next one.
Go to the next one? Okay. So, I guess with that, if you don't mind, Madam Chair Cleary, I'm gonna throw you right into the farm one.
Sure, Holly, go ahead and speak as you want to, and then I can answer any questions as needed.
Okay. So also within our survey plan, NHA was just here for their request, but there is this lovely farm survey that was here. This is just the basis, and we want to be able to research the farms. This is the William
There's a map.
18.
There's a map of those farms out.
When you
both
said-
of us.
Yeah, and it's got all the,
It
this
really
is the
filled in a
one,
whole
this has
list of
been the
farms.
foundations, but there's been a lot of work that's already been kind of done with looking at with what Land Bank has, Conservation Foundation has. And so we want to, it's a priority within our plan, survey those farms, historic farms that are scattered throughout the island, whether they're existing or they were and they're not, and we want to document that. So I guess I'll leave it to you, Claire.
Is this question stay there? Is this to do the surveys or actually produce the surveys based on the information that we collected? There's just a little of both.
I'm gonna leave that on to Clary.
Sure. This is what I would consider to be a phase one because the farm history on the island is incredibly huge and dense. And what's really important about this, we're calling this a non-contiguous reconnaissance survey. So this is very similar to the first phase that we've done for West Monomoy, but it's spread out throughout the island. And we're using the 1850 map as a starting point. Again, the deed research for this is going to be really complicated, and that's why the oral history aspect is going to be really important, and sort of crowdsourcing some of the information about some of these farms that may not exist anymore. The other important aspect of this is we've all driven around the island and seen buildings that look as if they could have been on a farm, even though there's not a farm there anymore. So that's part of our original reconnaissance work with this grant application, is to try to identify some of those as well. It's one of the reasons we've brought Marcia Fader and Betsy Tyler into this project, because they have both started work on identifying farm buildings and doing some farm history already. So much like the West Monomoy project, we begin with compiling what's already out there and then start additional research.
You have a question?
Can you add my property? I'm not kidding. I was a Starbucks, my property was a Starbucks farm.
Yep.
Always, we'll crowdsource everything.
1790, and my son, when we first moved there, he was like 8, and he wanted to be an archaeologist, and he dug up some, and there's topography to indicate there was a barn building. But that's not, I think it'd be cool. I'd like
But
to know more.
I think you just proved the point, right? There's a
Right.
lot of information out there that has to be pulled together. And one of the important things about these surveys is not only providing the town with the information, is to get it in that geospatial database so that we can start to map where those properties were. So that would be terrific.
Well, Clifford's property.
Yeah, and the other thing is that,
And Hedgesbury,
I just-
that was all the dairy farm.
yeah, it was all one big
farm.
farm. But I just also want to say that I personally like this idea because obsessed with history, blah, 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 but also Holly helps me and I try and do research and I go to the Barney and no offense, but I have a lot of trouble finding what I'm looking for when I work for the land bank and I need to go back in time and understand the history of a farm of property we have, so we can go back to the agricultural use because of chapter 91, chapter 61, blah, blah, blah. So for me, that information is very hard to come by, reliable information. And thank you, Holly, when you were able to help, but the existing sources of information that I need are not satisfactory. So for me, this is selfish, but for me, in my job, this would be helpful.
Because it's not just buildings that get surveyed,
It's the
it's
use,
also
the use.
areas, right? So area forms, we have monument forms. There's actually A, B, C, D, E, and F, I think, are all the different forms that the state has. So it's all sorts
Can
of.
you go back to the cod maps?
Yeah.
William Todd, yeah.
It's
And
a
we
great
don't even
source.
know yet what kind of forms we're going to need for this,
Right.
because it just hasn't been done yet. So compiling this information will really help us prioritize the different types of forms that we'll need for the historical commission.
Does anybody have any questions about this one? No, other than that, I can't wait.
I would, well, since I'm curious about something. Cause you said you did it back 17 or something on the last time in school. Do you have any information on a Black Methodist church that was on Five Corners? A very large. church?
Zion, isn't that Mount Zion?
Zion, yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do you have any pictures or any?
I don't
structural
think
or
there's
or where
any.
it was?
Mr. Richards, we haven't found any pictures yet. We did just recently publish our story maps that the students did from this summer. There is information on the churches in there. It's on our website, and I can send a link to Holly to share with you all so you can see a progress
tell you.
update.
It'll tell you where the church was at least, right?
Yes, so it's definitely noticeable maps. One of the things I'm just interested in doing some more research on is the possibility of, the demolition of that church and where it was located, and if there may be any archaeological records in that area to show previous demolished buildings.
Yes, thank you.
There might be a painting, you never know.
Oh, of it.
Corner, that
It's
1850
corners.
It might be in that one, bird's eye view too. Yeah,
Did Jesse have his hand up or?
I think it just dropped.
I was just gonna say something. I'm on the boat, but this is so interesting and I've done some research around my property on farms, and then the Turkic Historical Association has some great files regarding historical farms that could be helpful. And definitely I'll have to give you guys some input, because I've just around my property, which is part of a bunch of different historical farms. I've found some old farm equipment, old field posts, and a lot of different things that are just around my property. And I know, for example, there's a milking shed that still exists on one of my neighboring property. So very interesting, and I'm very glad to see that this is happening. So thank you.
Any more questions on this one? All right,
and NHA is also a big supporter of our projects.
we comb through that space.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they'll be available online, because that's what we require.
Believe it or not, I mean, she's had these formats for quite a while. We've just been a little slow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I would like to just add in about the NHA support. I've already been in conversation with Niles and Mike about the future exhibit on agriculture. So, you know, as I mentioned, this would be phase 1, and all the information that we compile not only will be given to the town and for the public, but hopefully as part of that agriculture exhibit in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Holly, you're still here.
I'm still here. Okay. So, my next request is,
$40,000 one.
yes, so the $40,000 request is for our historic aerials. So as Linda is aware, we have old aerials that date from 1938, 1940, 1957, and I think we have 93s that I just put in there as well.
But 75 found at the.
As you probably are aware, we have some aerials on the town's website, but those are only from 98 up. These are historic. These are stuff that we as preservationists, historians, we are using these all the time. Very, very helpful, especially when somebody says, hey, wait a minute, how old is this building? And oh, well, it's actually, it was this size and they added on to it. Okay. So these things right now are in a few different formats. One, they're in a book, or they're large.
And they're falling apart.
Yes. So from a preservation perspective and usability perspective in perpetuity, I'd like to have these scanned, have them available on the town's website. Also, NHA has said that they would also have them on their database, and hopefully they can be the repository as well. It sounded like Niles was okay with that when I asked for his support. So this is a request that we may not even need the full 40, to be honest with you. I have reached out to a couple places that do these type of things, but the big boards is where there's going to be the issue. Me getting an actual company that knows historic artifacts, because we don't want to just have just the average person scan them, no offense, but they need to be handled appropriately. But 2, that they have the proper machinery to be able to handle that. So we got a couple different formats, and again, we want to have them available in perpetuity.
They're incredibly helpful for HDC purposes, for zoning purposes, for 4181L subdivisions, because I use them all the time, constantly, almost every day. And they are falling apart because the original negatives, there were large negatives. When the basement of the Mooney building flooded, some brilliant person decided to throw them out. And then when the ones that did survive, transmitted out to Fairgrounds, where the plus department is. In the back, there were big map drawers. And some other brilliant person decided to throw all of those out. So a very large, I mean, what, 4 foot by 5 foot, something like that, 3 foot by 5 feet. They're boards, and they're beginning to peel off. So they're critical. The 1938s are critical. So, and there are some through NHA that are in the twenties. I do have, access to some that are even in 1890s, but it doesn't cover the whole island. And so when they lose this resource, we're done. I've taken pictures of almost all of them, but that's all we have. But we have to get that done. 1957s are very critical to track from 1938 to the 1975s at the assessor's office in 1993s and 1940s.
Yeah.
If you don't have a 1938, the 1948 5 books are only this big. And they're this big, the magnifying glass time.
Right.
So they have to be enlarged, but you can't lose the detail. So it has to be Browns River who does the town clerk's office, stuff like that. So this is a major undertaking to forget them for now until they get them into a discernible form and get them up online.
May I ask one question?
Yeah.
Holly, I'm just kind of curious, these are so important to the history of our community and the future governance of our community. Has the capital committee of the town offered any support to you to do any
It
of
was
this?
never
or-
put into Capcom.
It was not, as you probably are aware, Capcom is provided funding for the whole scanning of all the records and all the different departments, and they've been working on Plus for quite a while.
But it's a building department records, it's each.
Right, all of
this
those records. This actually wasn't really thought about doing that. And again, it has to, the fact that these are historic documents, they're not just the average piece of paper in a file. But they do need to be scanned appropriately. They need to be handled by an organization that knows how to handle historic documents. And especially being able to take these smaller, I mean, the 40s, Linda is correct. They're really, really tiny, so that the TIFF, the level that's gonna have to be to scan it in, so we can be able to see that minute detail is gonna be really important. So just having an organization that knows that type of quality, very similar to the way the NHA handles their historic documents.
Town clerk.
I had the opportunity to learn that when I was in college from NHA, from the folks there at the time. So I know that they're gonna have to be people that know how to handle those historic.
And every single part of the island is covered in the 1940s, unlike all the other aerials that we have. Every part of Nantucket is covered in those 1940s. I'm about the only one that can actually open one of the 5 books and take
And
it back
there's-
to that page.
There's
They mark
some of those 1940s that NHA has on their database, if you look right now, but it's not.
Not the whole
inclusive.
thing.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Neville, do you have an?
Yeah, I was just gonna double up on something that you had said. We've been doing that, with Browns River in the town
Right.
clerk's records.
Yes,
That's now in the town building.
yes,
So we have it won't be difficult to find a,
yes.
you know,
I've been,
resource.
I've been talking to one of those folks.
Yeah,
that
Yeah,
handles
the Browns
that.
River is gonna be doing the microfilm from the assessor's office. They got a different name now, but they're gonna be doing those. Lena.
Holly, did you complete a Form 990 that, exempt from income tax for any of these projects?
Well, that's through the town.
Or, right? Or a letter stating that you are exempt, because I didn't see it in any of the.
Just ask Brian. Just ask Brian.
Ask Brian,
Yeah.
okay. Do you have a copy of that? Because I've never had to do that before for the town.
We've never done it for any of the town projects.
Yeah.
Well, is it applicable? I mean, isn't it something that should be done?
No, because
Should we
we
have
brought
it in
this
our
up years
files?
ago on the 1099s for the town. And they don't give you just that, they give you.
Oh, they give you the
town.
whole
So
thing.
that's what we said,
Okay.
we don't need them for those. And I remember asking Stuart about that. Joe, did you have a
So
question?
will these all be up on the town website?
The goal
Actually,
would
yeah.
be somehow to have them on there. I'm more confident of, NHA, but I would like to have it on both, so that way we can also have that available to consultants and everybody else.
Yeah, when I was first showing them, I thought I was going into like a special speakeasy. It was like, don't tell anyone about them and don't touch them. And I was like, and then you start to see what the history is and you
It's
understand.
very important.
Yeah, it's very
It's
important.
kind of surprising, I think like 30 years later that this
Yes.
was happening.
And they need to, they're gonna help this whole project.
I would hope they would be on the town website
Yes.
because
Yeah.
for public accessibility, some people might not think
Right,
to go. For 2 reasons, people who are doing research that are related to town permitting applications, et cetera,
Yeah.
would have use of this. And secondly, again, no shade, meaning, I'm not meaning to throw shade on NHA's website.
No.
It's great.
Yep.
But it is, I find it a little bit cumbersome sometimes when I'm looking for things. It's nonetheless an excellent resource, but I know, and I know other people complain about the town website. I find it good. I know where to go. I'm one of the few people who does, but I'm comfortable with it.
Oh, to me.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with it and I know how to find stuff and I
I-
like,
would love to be able to, you know, I mean, this is, I'm gonna have to talk to you, obviously, Florencia from communications on exactly where we could have them on the website and what kind of format that's gonna be needed, but yes, that is the goal, to have it available to the
The
public.
link on your page.
Well, as the CPC is one of our missions, like when we gave money to Preservation Institute.
Yes,
One of the conditions of the grant
Yeah.
was
yes,
that it be publicly available.
It
and it's
is.
Not, well,
it is.
it wasn't, but.
We're still trying to figure,
It is.
we've been all over this. She and I and Claire have been talking about this for months.
Yeah, so all I'm saying is we should make
Yeah.
this a condition also.
Yeah, well, it is a condition that it be publicly accessible. Now, what
Thank you,
basket-
Holly.
You're welcome. There is so, within the last couple of years, since we became a CLG, I mean, my position's only been since 2019. So, I created a preservation planning page, which is linked to both the HDC and the Historical Commission. And on the preservation planning page, not only do we talk about our survey work as a CLG, but we and a link to the certified local government, but we also have a link to that specific project, because as a matter of fact, I use it on a daily basis.
Good.
I go to that quite a bit and I send it to people like Joe in his office.
Yeah, good.
If there's any type of history, because what they did with that project, not only were they scanning stuff on the interior, if those property owners allowed, but they codified a lot of the information. So we have a lot of historic American building survey that Walter Beinecke brought in the 70s. Through that effort, the Nantucket Historical Trust.
Yeah.
There's quite a bit of information at the Library of Congress. So
Yeah, we got to have.
that database that they created is kind of like a codification of everything, where you can go, oh, look, they have the tabs. Oh, look, there's an old HTC survey.
Or there's a mattress or something.
Right, it's, you know, so, but this is gonna take all that information and sandboard maps and the digitized, photos, of the aerials, but put it all together for each individual property. That's the goal.
It's gotta be preserved.
Yeah, so anyone that uses a GIS map knows that the triangles are on there, but if no one doesn't, you can go on a specific lot. And bring that up, and then there's an extra page that comes up and there's links, so
All the links.
I'm just curious, like, if you clicked on it, would that image come up for that neighborhood? Is that something to do?
That's something I'd have to ask Nathan,
Yeah,
our GIS guy of one, on how we can handle it, because I think it all depends on what our GIS can handle. MapGeo, I think is what it's called. And I understand that there's a fee every time, because I've asked a question.
Problem, MapGeo.
I've asked a question, like, if I have a specific layer that I would love to be able to put on here, how does that work?
Yeah.
And I know there's a nominal fee that we, the town, would have to pay for, but there are some processes and things that need to be done.
And we don't
that
control
that would be
Google does.
we,
That's the problem.
Google. I don't know, it would have to be a question.
Yeah,
That's
I was
what we
just
don't
curious.
know, what the best approach is. Obviously, having it available to the public is key, but also what their best approach is. Is it going to be something like the way the NHA has their database, or it'll be a GIS? It would be awesome to have it on GIS. I know GIS has that capability. Now, how does that work? That would be a question for Nathan, but I can definitely ask him on that.
well, I love it, cause I have a client that they're in the eighties or nineties, someone came in and ripped up the kitchen. And we were having a conversation about redoing the kitchen and what to do, and my client said, oh, it looked like this, and it reminds me of this house when I was a kid, it was the same. And so the daughter's like, oh, I'd really like to know what it was, so I went on the website and clicked on the location he said in town.
Mhm.
And believe it or not, they had, I don't know if it was Lancaster, I don't know who the photos were, but they had original photos of the kitchen, so I sent it to her. And so now she's trying to figure out like how we can rebuild the kitchen to bring it back to its
It
original.
was probably that PIN project.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Because what they've also did is if PIN had projects where they took photographs, anything, they put it all together. And that's, again, since 1972, that program has been around. And then, if there's any realtor listings with those interior photos, then all of that's been put together. So for that project, it's been helping into that.
Any other questions on this one? Yeah.
Yes, I would just, because it was mentioned before, and just, me with my anal thing, like, I would like a letter from, Brian saying that the town's exempt from, the taxes thing.
We brought this up before, and you would have to give us the whole.
No, just a letter, just a letter.
I
saying
do
that
have
it's-
We got something from
Some of the projects do have just a letter in there.
Just all.
We got something from him the last time we asked.
From the 1099?
Yeah, so you're exempt from it, so it'll be on the.
Okay.
All right.
I will request that.
So the next one is 45,000
And it's not all of them.
for town of Nantucket. This is for, yeah, this is updating building with Nantucket in mind, okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we gave them money before, when I was the chairman.
Keep that, okay.
When I was the chairman, we gave them money before to hire a consultant way back when. And then I left the HDC and the next chairman decided, oh, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna do it ourselves. So it languished for a great deal of time until it became evident that that was never gonna happen with a little group of HDC members not happening. So we had somebody online back then who did this kind of thing. And I don't know if the person is still alive, it's been that long. And so now we really need to deal with, really with Nantucket in mind, it's a guidebook, but it's not guiding. It's very hard to read, it's not user friendly. It needs to be done, and we can't do it for the original amount of money, which is what, Holly?
The original, I believe, was 30, but I did want to say that CPC, because this is my copy from when I was an intern with Pat Butler.
Yeah.
And this, we had stickers on these,
Yeah,
and it says this 2002 reprinting of this book was made possible by Nantucket Preservation Trust and the generous funding provided by CPC.
Yeah.
So
we can keep going.
yes, we're not gonna be able to do this, I think, without you guys on this. Very, very helpful. As you all know, this has been the last rendition. We've had addendums over time. Even Sconset Trust actually created a Sconset, building Wisconsin in mind. And then in, was it 2019, through the MVP Action Grant Program, we have Resilient Nantucket Design Guidelines, which is my lovely printed version. The way this is done, it's got visuals, it's very helpful.
Very easy.
This is the way I see hire a consultant to codify everything. When the former planning director hired me in 2015, one of the first things he asked me to do was look at building with Nantucket in mind and redline. What you see is important, what you see needs to be worked on, and it's still that way. My copy. So this would be to hire, obviously go through procurement, hire a qualified consultant that does this stuff for a living. And obviously the commission would be involved with that.
Any questions on this one? Everybody who's tried to read it knows it is not user friendly.
I'm gonna say, do you know about Mattocket? The request that they wanna do building with Mattocket in mind.
Yeah,
Just
I
so
mean,
you-
I think that's
Grand Point
fantastic.
wanted to do that when I
Yeah,
was
so
doing the
this-
area plan for them.
I think that's awesome.
So,
Looking forward to it because that,
You got old Mattocket going on.
that
It's
helps.
disappearing.
Yeah.
they know that.
And really, I see this as codifying what we have. But having we've had addendums after addendums after addendums that have done, there's never been a real true codification of everything. And that needs to be done, the solar requirements, all of that needs to come into play. It's gonna be a robust project, but it needs to be done.
Any idea how long it'll take?
That's the $1 million question, really,
We don't know.
really. Because I obviously, I'll tell you this, I've been given direction and approval to request this from you all by the planning directors, and deputy director. And, hopefully I get a good response with, commission and moving forward and getting a consultant that actually can, present a update that everybody is happy with.
It has to go out to bid. so
Yes.
That may take a while.
All of this with the town, we have to. But
And there are some people that we've come across over the years that do this kind of thing, because we're not obviously the only historic district in the state.
Right.
But this is a very unique one with our own special act, unlike everybody else under 40C, and it's just. You gotta deal with the existing act and you gotta deal with what we have here. But some of the stuff like paint colors and dormers and things like that,
That's not
you
even.
can't
Cattle grades.
cattle grade. Don't start with me those cattle grade. That's just a landscape feature that we should be leaving alone.
That was in the farm section.
All right.
Connie has a question?
Holly, who did the Sconset could you tap into that? I
That was a
mean,
private.
This was,
Yeah.
yes, this was privately
have their own little
funded by
ideas.
one of their people.
And they have little ideas out there that aren't just.
I'd say that's a good read.
Yeah.
I mean, this would
It's
have
very
to
useful.
be.
Let's see
it's
that
very
box.
There's a
useful,
couple little-
absolutely. There are some timeless things that do follow tradition of building with Nantucket in mind, but yes,
Oh.
there are things in there that, it wasn't like this was technically approved by the
Yeah.
commission, so, right.
And there's one
But
for Quidnet, I have that little Quidnet book.
Oh, I was about to say.
No, it's
You
the
share.
history of Quidnet with the
Oh, I have-
buildings and all that
The
stuff, I gave you my extra copy.
Okay.
And then there's rural road guidelines,
Yes.
which nobody's paying any attention to since I left the board. And there's all kinds of little stuff out there that was done over time on the HDC for the past 60, 70 years, and nobody has a clue. And we got the sign guidelines, we got the solar panel guidelines, I mean, we got all this stuff all over the place that simply really needs to be put in one place.
codified,
Yeah.
yes.
Building with Nantucket in mind, I'm manager for this week. I use that book for the first couple of houses, yeah, for my first 2 houses.
Yeah, there's a lot of
About the
time.
roof line, but, you know, don't just, yeah.
Yeah,
And also,
absolutely.
in a very conversational kind of way, but now the world's a little faster.
There are things in here that are timeless. There are things in here that need to be updated. And then there's things that are not even in here whatsoever. So yes, it's I mean, I refer to it on every week.
Then everybody went bonkers with that particular picture on page also. Yeah. Which should probably
Hilbert
be changed.
Starbucks House on Main
Yes,
Street.
it probably should be changed now. So, any other questions for Holly?
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Home run. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
And it's about time, I've been hounding you for years to put this stuff in.
Here now.
Is she on her way in? How about Janice, whoever gets here first, go. John, what is your vacation? schedule?
keep 30 minutes. I don't take vacations. I'm
It's
good.
whatever mine.
Yeah.
Okay,
If I can
so
put-
he's fine, all right,
I'm good.
Tim, what's your vacation schedule? Because you're the one that goes out to Vegas.
We may
Yeah.
be with, we may be
That's
with,
not vacation, that's work, right?
Ms. Bell.
That's it.
He has a house. He goes and he plays, works on the house.
I'm not a gambler though.
No. Fortunate.
The 21st
Oh,
October
okay.
to the 4th, we talked about this, I
You're not gonna be back for a town meeting? You're coming back just in time.
just in time.
Okay, Jesse, what's your vacation schedule?
Most of the time I'm not available on Fridays just because I'm leaving for the weekend, but
Through
I'll
Friday,
be
but
here
just in general.
in general, yeah. And then I'm here for Thanksgiving and then I leave basically on the 18th of December for Christmas break.
That's all right, we're not doing it on anything there. Joe, you're just. Connie?
I'm not going anywhere the first 2 weeks of November. I would have to like zoom in if possible, but I'll be available.
Okay, so
I just
we could
probably-
never Zoom, okay.
Get away.
All right, Neville, are you guys going anywhere?
No, but I know November 3rd, around that week, will be bad for me. Other than that, I'm okay.
That's town meeting week anyway,
That's fine.
No, I'm not thinking of
for
time.
the first week, all right. So what we're looking at here,
Maybe mid-November.
Yeah, it's terrible.
it looks like it may leave,
November.
not back until the 20th.
November 4th.
Can you zoom in? You're 5 hours, 6 hours ahead of us.
We can do
I don't
When
want to
she's
do
back.
anything
I
without.
really
she's
can't
gone for the-
predict that, I'm got it.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
It's not even the
amazing.
6 hour difference, it's just like.
Can you see this?
Yeah, right.
That's like you're waiting.
No, we're doing something right now. It's okay, but we are waiting for it.
Yeah, that vacation, but I don't wait till December either.
Yes.
No,
You can do it, I'm.
No, we're not.
no.
You have to come in. When are you again?
I'm back, I land back in America in the 19th.
We do have All right, we'll keep going here for a minute.
I could do it for you.
I don't go anywhere. That's time I get off in the year. So let's go. Janice.
Are we
We're all-
ready?
Yeah.
I'm not ready, but here we go.
Not like we don't know you.
I think you want me to give you my name and all of that stuff.
Just say who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name is,
No, the owl can see you, so you don't have to turn around.
hello, Owl. My name is Janice Carrera. I'm the Executive Director for Nantucket Food, Fuel and Rental Assistance. And I'm here to talk about the rental assistance program today, which your organization has so generously helped us with for the last several years. We continue on. Program has not significantly changed over the years, although our clientele has changed somewhat over the years. Certainly, the cost to provide rental assistance has gone up with, obviously, the cost of living on the island. In just some background, I think everyone is pretty familiar with.
Yeah, we know.
Okay, so,
We tell you to ask for more every year.
and I'm asking for 20,000 more. I think that's a fair number in terms of the numbers of people we're helping. We've seen a 17% increase over the last completed fiscal year in both the numbers of people we've helped and the amount of money we've doled out. We completed last fiscal year, which is fiscal year 25. Because we run on the July to June, and we used all of the funding that you provided to us for that period. We actually used up all of your funds probably a month and a half earlier before the end of the fiscal year. So we are going into fiscal year 26 fresh, no carryover funds. We will be getting, I believe, 380,000 for this fiscal year, and I anticipate we're going to use all of it. Unless, changes in universe and population of the island or whatever changes significantly, and we don't see that happening in the next year. So I think with fiscal year 27 and the additional 20,000 we're asking for, which would be at 400,000, we would probably be paying rents at about 525,000. So obviously, we're getting resources from other situations, from other grants and donations and foundations as well. But you continue to be the base. The people we help would be significantly reduced if you were not there. Anything else I can say?
You're still getting money from they helped you out during COVID, the foundation.
We're getting money from the Community Foundation, we're getting money from Tuppen C. Harris, we're getting some of those. All of the state COVID grants are gone, they're gone, they're long since gone, so. And they're not likely to, unless we see another major,
Next year.
epic thing. We do not rely heavily on federal grants. We were getting some small FEMA grants in the past in around the $5,000, $8,000 range. They are gone. So, in terms of our being able to do what we do, you are very, very important, and we would hope that you would continue.
Well, as usual, we have to give 10% to each one of the pocket
Categories.
and basically market thousand is 10% of the 4 million.
Well, she's the only affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be very honest with you, I come in and ask what I think is fair and what we could use. I really don't know what your 10% is. Maybe I should know, but I don't.
10%, if we have about 4 million again this year, there's more, but we have to pay the bonds.
Yeah.
We have $4 million, we have to allocate 10% under state law.
So I'm kind of
10%.
like there, is that what you're saying?
I
I'm
kept
kind of
telling you to ask for more.
Well, I can, you wouldn't give it to me then. So, anyway, there was a period of time last fiscal year. And I thought, oh my God, we might need about $5,000 or $10,000 more. Do I need to go and ask for a contingency? But we got it somewhere else. So
we cut back a little, I can't recall what we did, but everybody was. Who needed assistance was assisted, I think. If you look at the chart that I've given you, I mean, there are always going to be people on this island in need help. There are always going to be people who are suffering through major illness, who are suffering through injury where they don't work for significant periods of time. There are always going to be people, even with the influx of more rental housing in the public sector, there are always going to be people who, while they might be able to pay the rent to get into those units, they can't pay the big upfront to get into them. So we've helped several individuals this year get into Wiggles Way, as an example.
Yeah.
And, you know, the seniors, their income's fixed. I mean, we're gonna have them as long as they're in the housing they're in.
Does anybody have any questions for Janice, or we all know this pretty well?
I just wanna, I have sent to so many people, I know the load, I'm in agreement with Linda, yeah, you could have asked some more, but I think you're doing fine, you've gradually gone up with the population. You know, and because of, all the people that I know I sent you, I know how enormous the volume, yeah, I know you need it, I know we need the volume. So thank you very much for doing such a great job. That's it.
I'll come early every time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Madam Chair,
Yeah.
just a quick comment on NIFRA itself. You know, I was employed for a bit. And something that Janice is very good at is doing intake and applications and kind of drilling down to what exactly they're looking for. It isn't a rubber stamp. Like when they come in and ask for X amount of dollars for rental, or because it's a health reason, or because they were like let go at work or something. Janice is really good at drilling down on why and how's that gonna work with their specific thing, and okay, well, how are you gonna get back to work, and like, you know, like just working with the clients. So I just want to say for the members of the committee and any members of the public, that it is not a rubber stamp organization. It is not just somebody asked for X amount of dollars, it's okayed quickly, and then it's out the door. It is really like a give and take and a check back in and a process.
Well, I know that on firsthand because during COVID, I was allowed into the building department and Janice couldn't get in there to verify because, she only gives money to units that are legal units. And someone living in a closet or in a basement or something, they have to be actual legal units. Because before it was just chaos.
And we pay only the owner.
Yeah, only
We're
the
not
owner,
gonna
it doesn't
do
go to the
something.
person, so it's very well regulated now, and like when it first came to us 20 years ago. Which was on the table at George's house, and it was going to all kinds of people, including people in the housing authority, which I'm on. And they already subsidized. Significantly subsidized in there. So it's running like a well-oiled machine now, and everything's verified.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, great job.
You know.
Thank you.
Can't believe how
For you
quick
guys
you
now.
are. All right, last one.
One
more to go?
Yeah, everybody, while we're waiting, come to the table, everybody think about October 29th, which is a Wednesday, October 30th, which is a Thursday.
Oh,
Everybody's here, where are you?
Until the 4th.
Then everybody's out.
Happy New
Can you zoom in out there?
You come up. Yeah, whenever you're ready. Yes. To the rest.
That's the only time all of us can be here, besides you.
Minutes.
Not after November 20th.
That's that's almost too late. Start, and then we get into Thanksgiving, which is the following week, and then we get into stroll. Which
What's the date you're saying, you're talking about?
October 29th and 30th. Can you zoom from there? You've done that from
Yeah.
out there.
Oh, I don't really want to for the deliberations.
Opening, we're not gonna finish those. This is just the opening shot across the bow.
I got it.
Days in,
The
days
same,
out,
right.
things like that. That's all we're doing.
What'll be important for me is the times, you get to the times,
Well, I'm.
what time are you thinking about?
Right.
You're saying 29th?
Yeah, it's a Wednesday or the 30th, which is a Thursday.
Both are fun. Both are fun.
Both are fine.
What, the 29th?
29th is a Wednesday, the 30th is a Thursday.
Okay, I should be,
You okay?
I'll make it work.
Okay.
I have an appointment on one of those days.
Yeah, you do. It was,
Yeah.
I thought it was the 28th.
Oh, was it?
It's the
Okay.
28th, because I can
Okay.
sign off on it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the 29th or 30th is a Wednesday or a Thursday better, so is that?
As I said, for me, it depends on the time, clock time.
Morning's better for everybody?
I like this time of night.
Okay. Is that right, from 9 to 12?
9 is good for me.
Tim, see what you can do.
So-
I know you're like 2 hours behind us.
9 to 12, are you okay?
On Wednesday or Thursday,
Okay, well, I have to see if the space is available as well, so.
let everybody know, but
Yep.
it's either Wednesday or Thursday is that week. And we'll just sort of take a first pass at it. Okay?
Yeah.
We're not gonna sit down and go crazy until
Yeah.
everybody's back. And allocate stuff, but Jim, you wanna email me what your concerns are, everything, or your thoughts on, it, if you can chime in. Okay, so that's where we're going. So now we have Nista representing the applicant is.
How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Yeah, what's your name?
Good to see
Guys, we got,
See you guys.
did their project, notify the machine there, who you are.
Hi, I'm Kathy Kiln, one of the directors of Nista. And we are here, and this is Laura Hairhold, another director of Nista. And we're really happy to be here.
Do we want to identify our crew back here?
Oh, yeah,
Really quickly?
this is our team.
Our
that's working
team.
with us. Mitch Blake is our project manager. Valerie Oliver is a mentor and and of all things. And Mary Bergman at NPT has been helping us with easements and other issues that we need to solve.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So we're here in hopes of asking your consideration for funding for our artist residency cottages that we moved from 71 Washington Street out to 55 Walnut. And I thought I would just give you a very brief background to get you in the fold of how this project began. And Laura's going to share with you the specifics of the line item budget that we're requesting. This whole thing began about 2018. When the town and the trucking association came to us downtown and said, we really need to widen the road. And we had no intention of moving the cottages out to Walnut at that point. But we had been enduring a relentless flooding, the no-name storm, the blizzard of 2015. And every time that happened, we had to redo everything. The water would come up to the tables. So it was a blessing in disguise, but it took a bit of a sequence of events. So we talked to them for over 2 years, and the town initially wanted a sliver, and then it got bigger and bigger. And so it became apparent that it was important that we move them. And when they were looked at structurally, there were 2 cottages that could actually be moved because they were so compromised, because they were really on the ground down there. I don't know if you remember that. So we moved 2 of the cottages that we could do that. And in those cottages, we're calling one the West Cottage and one the East Cottage. The West Cottage is closest to the road, and that's the one we're seeking funding today for. And then there's additional funding to do the East Cottage. And that we also got MCC money. We got 158,000 from the Mass Cultural Council, which was a matching grant. So we matched that with funds that we raised. So we're working on that as well. And then previous to that, just to give you a sense out there, in fact, if you'd like to come out and look, we'd love to show you. There's actually 3 buildings on that property, and there's a long building that was given to us in 2000. And we were able to put together the money after the sale, and we totally restored that. So that's operating now. When we get the 3 buildings back together, when we have them all in use, we will then be reestablished and have the facilities that we had downtown. 12 units. Pardon? 12 units. 12 units, right. And those replace the cottages that were downtown. And these are terribly important to us. And it's been a long haul because it's been since 2018 and we went, I know people sing, you know, the blues about COVID, but it really impacted us. And it stopped everything kind of in its tracks and we picked up the baton again. And we are here to ask if you please consider this amount of money so that we can get this next section done. So we'll have the main house, one of the cottages, if we do get your funding, and we're also working in parallel on the other cottages. We don't have the full funding for that, but we did get this 158,000, which we matched, which gave us 316. And I just wanted to share that we've been so fortunate that we have the mentors we have and their capacity, but also we have ongoing relationships with our contractors. We've been working with them since the historic restoration that we began out at the farm. Nolasco Construction, Kevin Deneen Electrical, Vern Matson Plumbing.
Don Bracken.
Don Bracken has been absolutely an incredible mentor. So I think that's it as far as giving you that overview. And I just hope that we'll be able to present and there'll still be a little bit of time if you have any questions or concerns that we can answer them while we're here.
I just, one thing I noticed that came to mind when Kathy was speaking is sort of all the different things that these living spaces will provide for the school.
Right.
We have an artist in residency program, which brings artists from all over the world out to, you know, enjoy Nantucket and learn about it, get out in the environment, make art, and also impact our community.
And teach our classes sometimes.
And then also from that group, we end up being able to have staffing for our teaching. The housing also provides us to provide staffing for our general programs. The other thing the housing has done that has really been nice is because right now, at this point in time, we're really summer centric. We have used the winter time to offer the housing to on-island individuals, predominantly people from the nonprofit sector. And right now we have the wildlife rescue team living there. Last year, some town employees took advantage of the space. We've also had 5 different school teachers in the public school system live there for the winter. So we've been able to kind of share our wealth with the community, which we really like. We are not looking to create the white elephant out there. These are really 1950s, what were they called? Vernacular tourist cottage,
That's
which
a
I love
very-
that. Thank you, Mary. That is great. And they're extremely simple. It's back from when you used to show up with a bag and a beach towel and you went to the beach and came back. And it's just like a living room, a little kitchen, very modest, you know, little stove, little sink, little shelf, little fridge, a little bathroom, and then there's a little separate bedroom. It's all very modest and kind of the opposite of what's going on here now on the island. It's a place to get out in the world, enjoy the island, and come back and have a safe place to sleep. They're very, very simple. They're just, you know, sheetrock with trim around the windows, wooden floors that are painted. And we are just trying to restore them back to that condition of being safe and comfortable. They did sustain a lot of water damage, so we're going to have to, unfortunately, probably get rid of all the sheetrock because over the years it's gotten mildewy and so forth. So in the end, we'll have just super simple space, but fresh, clean, safe, and modern. We have to have the electrical redone. That's all lost. The plumbing all has to be redone. And these are, as on this little sheet that we provided, you can see it's pretty simple. It's just, you know, what you would expect. The ejector, the sinks and showers, hot water tanks, just the basic stuff. There's no jacuzzi in this. Then moving on to electric, just having safe electrical stuff that we can establish and know that it's safe and up to code. The HVAC is still a little bit of a question. We're kind of considering where to go with that, but you know, we'll have heat. They will be year round. And then the interior is, as I said, it has to be really freshened up and
The materials on the inside that have just failed due to the flooding and so forth will be removed, but we're not going to be adding in anything. We're just going to restore that simple interior. The windows, actually, we went ahead, we have restored the windows. A lot of the cottages have these, I don't know if you, the little windows are, you know, like this, and they tip in with a chain. It's really that old Nantucket shed window that tips in. We've got those all restored. The only thing we need for the integrity of the building are storm windows. So, and then we also need, because of the way the property, the buildings are set on the landscape, we are gonna have to put in an exterior staircase that takes us from one grade level on the property down to a second grade level where there will be access to 2 units down there. So that's gonna have to be a exterior staircase. We're thinking it should be attached to one of the buildings and then we'll have some safety lighting on it. So that's pretty much it. It's very simple. We're just restoring what we've got and we're not planning on elaborating anything, just basically restoring it to its original simplicity.
Simple integrity, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the artists that we serve, they just want to come out here and have an artistic retreat, really engage in the community. Some of them are really interested in the history, so they come downtown to get involved in all of the historical assets that the community has. Some of them are landscape painters. They just want to get out and make their paintings. And then they just want something safe and comfortable to sleep in. And if anybody ever feels like popping out, I think it's a sort of a little bit like a time capsule. When you go into these cottages, they're just
And we're
really,
not that-
really charming in that way.
People always think it's way far out there, but it takes about 10 minutes from the Rotary. You
Yeah.
know, there's a near and far on Nantucket. I
There
guess.
is.
It's really out there.
So I
Bike
don't,
path.
what's that?
And soon you'll have a bike path.
Oh, yes.
I
it's the
know.
one- It's gonna be
I
really.
know. And you know, last year we got eight bikes from Young's bicycle rental. And we've supplied our residents with bikes and helmets and baskets. Yeah, so everyone has really enjoyed that. I don't know if there's anything I've missed.
Anything else? Any questions? Don?
When were the original cottages built?
They were built in 1950 by
Christman
Mr.
cottages.
Christman.
Christman cottages.
Yeah,
50.
yeah.
Just.
And you know, it's so surprising to look at the size of the land when you go by now and to think that there were 11 cottages there. There were actually 6 buildings and they felt so roomy and everything. But the more they took for the road, we were exposed to the town. Do any of you have any concerns or questions that we could answer for you?
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any more, John? Any questions?
So I know you all came before us last year for this and we did not fund it. And I know that was very disappointing, but one of the things we asked you for, which is not in here unless I missed it, I scoured it.
What is it?
You can provide it. Oh, don't worry.
Oh, good.
It's your description of work, 69, where you break down the work. Is helpful, but what is also helpful is to have the vendor estimates for that work.
Oh, okay.
So we asked that last year and I know
We didn't get it.
I don't think we got it. In any event, that would be helpful. So for your historic easement Mary can provide whatever, but the plumbing, who is your plumber, the HVAC, the electric.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Just the vendor estimates, it's obviously, there's built in a contingency maybe, because, by the time you do this, those prices may
I know.
go up. So, and then I just have a quick question on page 71, you talk about the MCC funds that you alluded to. You write, MCC funds have been applied to previous phases of the extensive project of preservation, so those are no longer available for this, is that correct?
You know what? That's in past tense, but we are right now actually using the funds. We just used the funds to do the exterior of both cottages.
The east and west cottage?
Yes.
Okay,
And they look terrific.
okay.
And then we're gonna work on the interior of the east cottage with it. So we just paid for the exterior and we have 158,000 left of those funds, which are gonna apply toward the interior of the east cottage.
Okay, so do you think you'll be coming back to us you may not know this yet, but for a similar ask for the completion of the work on the east cottage?
I hope not, because.
Your
what-
intention is not to do that.
Our intention is not that, because we want to fundraise to get it. These cottages are not only functionally important to us and the program, but they traditionally, from the beginning of having them down there, which we didn't realize at the time we got them, have been the backbone of our operating budget.
Right.
And we have not had that since like 2016.
No, you talked about that very eloquently, about
Yeah.
it's a revenue source that's very critical to your function.
It's terribly important. Yeah.
So just if you could get us the vendor estimates. with
Yes,
those
thank you for
breakouts.
those too, Glenna.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just to be clear, we can't consider any of the use, whether it's artists, whether you're living in it, whether you're living in it, Mary living in it, Nick's living in it. That's not before us.
I know it's his.
What is before us is, and I wouldn't use that word historic, but they're contributing.
I would, these are historic.
They're over 50 years.
Speak to it, Nantucket's.
Mary, you gotta come up
Yeah,
so they
come
can
on
have this thing in here.
I'm coming up.
Speak to the machine.
Hi.
Sit there.
Okay.
They'll pick you up from there.
Sure. Mary Bergman, Nantucket Preservation Trust. So the Nantucket's National Historic Landmark status extends until 1975.
Right.
That means that pretty much every structure built on the island prior to 1975 is contributing to our landmark district. Contributing is the highest designation that a building can have as
Well,
far as its
significant.
historical significance.
Yeah.
It is. It is. I know of what I speak. And the island, these buildings were moved, and I have talked to Michael Steinitz, who's the Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer, about them, about the fact that they were moved, about the fact that moving is part of Nantucket's National Historic, it's part of our
History.
yeah, what's the phrase is, it's part of our national identity. There are cottages that have received historic tax credits throughout the island. There's one over on Mayflower that comes to mind that was built in 1960, so later
did
than
that.
these cottages. So those are received tax, benefits from the state and federal government. All of which is to say that, yes, this isn't a 1700s house, and yes, it was moved, but Nantucket's history does not begin and end with the whaling industry. And I think too, if you think about the history of Nantucket, I think Nisbet's cottages really are an extension of the artist colony on the island. It is it is an art colony. People are living and working out there. The structures, I think the fact that they were moved is really important because Nantucket's, like I said, we've moved so many buildings here, but when NISTA chose to move the cottages, the decision, that was sort of saying that the places in which people make art and the spaces in which that they are in when they make art matters. And I think that does matter to Nantucket's history. We have a long history of artists coming here and working here, and NISTA continues that through these buildings. So in talking with the state, these are a rare surviving example of this kind of architecture. We've pretty much destroyed and demolished all of this sort of simple architecture on Nantucket. So to preserve these, I think, is important. And what Kathy and Laura are talking about is preserving the historic fabric of the interior. They understand that they would have to put a preservation restriction on the whole campus. So to receive CPC funding for one cottage, they understand that they have to put a restriction on the East Cottage, the West Cottage, and the Atlantic House. Because the state will only accept an easement that's on the entire parcel. So that's a pretty big, I think that's I don't want to say trade-off, but it is to receive $300,000 when there are applications that have been funded by this committee that do not have easements on them as of yet. So that's my spiel here. I think they are historic and they do matter, even though they are relatively young. They're 75 years old, I think. No, that's 65. Oh, I didn't, I'm not a minute. That's right. I was 75 was right, okay. We're gonna have math major.
I'm not a math major either.
So the Secretary of the Interior has standards as well.
Yeah.
Does meet those standards.
Yes, yes.
My
yes.
only point is that I don't care if it's an artist colony, I don't care what the use is. We are here for historic preservation of a structure.
Right.
So that may be great background, but when we have to deal with it, these are historic structures or
Right.
contributing structures that contribute to a certain period of Nantucket's history that also contributes to the move of structures that have been going on.
Yeah.
Because they came in from Capon Pond to Gardner.
Right, and I think if you're thinking about Nantucket's history as an as history as both, I mean, as we say of, it's like Nantucket's history can be, here's my one sentence Nantucket history.
First came the fishermen, then came the artist to paint the fishermen, then came the tourists. And I think all of that is interpreted through these buildings,
We
that,
just have to be careful.
yeah.
But then the other issue, is if we have over $8 million in requests. We do need to provide what Eleanor says you need to provide, because that's what we didn't do it last year. But if we couldn't fund the whole thing, we have some really massive asks here. And most of it is actually historic preservation this year. But we have more open space requests than we've ever had, in years, this year, big ones. If we couldn't fund the whole thing, is there a way to phase this or parse it out? If we couldn't give you the whole thing?
It would be very challenging because we've been in this process for a long time and we had a lot of additional expenses on the historic restoration beyond what we've requested before. What the total, we figured the total for both interiors is gonna be like $775, $675. And we've requested part of that from you. We requested $361, $256. So we've already cut it in half because we realized, we understood that you had a lot of people to deal with and think about, and that this might be helpful to you and that we are asking for part of it.
I also would, you asked for this last year and it didn't work out, so you've had a deferred maintenance on these structures for an additional year, which is not good for the structures. It's not about it being a source of income. I do think about that, but this is about it being a residence too. I think some of the other things where we've asked them to be phased, those are not going to be lived in. They don't need COs. This is something somebody will be needing to live in. It needs to be livable.
Yes.
As opposed to visitable.
Right, right.
Madam Chair. This project reminds me of the Myacomet Village, 1 and 2 Big Ribbon Drive.
Bring that up.
Where it's, they are livable units, but it's historic preservation. That's what it fell under. And the language that was used is to protect from harm, injury, or danger. And so if you fall in line with that, I think that it should be okay, for historic preservation.
The only problem is, again, I'll take track back. We've asked all 20. We've asked all 20 the same question. Because we have so many asks, and it's twice what the money we have this year.
Oh, my goodness.
That, everybody has been asked, can they continue with the project if we can't fund them fully? And every one of them, I believe, has said they can continue and they'll just phase it out over time. Granted, most of them are not dwellings. But we still only have so much money, and I didn't know if there was a limit of money that we could give you along with everybody else. That would allow you to keep going. If we can't give you the entire amount, and I can pretty much tell you, that's gonna be very tough for us to give you the full amount. Given everybody else's requests. So, and there's not public access. This is another issue for us. They're not public access. They're private residences associated with NISDA. All the rest of these are public access issues. And they're open to the public can walk in, or they can access the information online. Or some other thing, or they walk through the moors at Linda Loring's, this is the type, take a look at the stuff that's being asked for. This is not public access. I don't know how to get around the word public access on this issue, because you're not just driving past it like the building that you're building, that's your project on Main Street. That's in the public venue. These are not in the public venue, and there's not public access to them. This is something that's required under the statute, so that's something we're gonna have to struggle with here. I know there's a preservation easement that you can put on it, which is, Mary's gonna be helpful with that. And Mary, you and I have to sit down and find out how many of these projects don't have them yet, because of one reason or another. But most of them have an access. The museum has access, the mill is in the public venue, that building on the corner of Main and Orange is certainly in the public access on Main Street. So we have to, that's another aspect of this that we have to deal with.
One thought, and I don't know how relevant this is, but when you speak, one thing that comes to mind for me is these cottages are in a supportive role of the whole NISDA program. But by virtue of the fact that it houses visiting artists to our residency and our staff, which makes the wheel go round over at NISDA, in addition to the fact that it does, through that process, it does provide much necessary revenue to support the whole program.
We can't do that.
Well, I was just pointing that out as
I know, and I
the
understand
bigger
how,
picture.
the bigger picture, but again, it goes.
Yeah,
back-
they have a supportive role in
That
the
we
bigger
can't
picture.
do.
I just wanted to say, point that out. That's all.
What I want to say is that we've been incredibly grateful for the historic restoration we've been able to do at the farm. And that we understand, I can hear your challenge loud and clear. And our spirit is that, of course, we'd be grateful for whatever you can give us. But we're hoping for as much as possible, because we've already cut it in half, and because it's been over a year that we have been not only working there, but also on the heifer, which is a different project that's at the school. But we have been working toward making our campus again whole so that we can provide the programming that we need to provide in order to maintain the operating budget of the school. So there's a whole lot of different layers. Linda, we would be grateful for anything we get, but whatever you can do, we'll really, really appreciate because of our situation.
If you can go maybe after somebody, back in the day, Ken came up with matching fund type of thing for a couple of older projects. If we were to give you money, could you get matching funds from somebody? So we've been very creative way back in the beginning about asking for people when the church, I think, is the first one we had to get matching funds for. So
Well, matching funds, it's very exciting for patrons.
because
They love that.
those that were supporting it, can you match the funds that we're giving? That may be another way to increase the amount of revenue that you get from it. But I'm gonna have to call Stuart up at the state and ask him about this, because it is not in the public venue and it is not public access.
Question as to how you see 58 Main Street as being in the public and this is not being in public.
Because we can get into the public can access it anytime they want. However, I went through this with the state as well.
Yeah.
It is a critical design building, the exterior.
Yeah.
You can't miss it. It's a
Yeah.
cornerstone of Main Street, historic Main Street. So that the act does allow that kind of thing. We didn't do it over at Mariner House for various reasons, which don't exist at that building.
If the easement were to say, because I will say, most of the easements originally for private homes as well would include some sort of item in it that said that it would be open for public access.
They can, we specifically and have that discussion in that building.
I would say that and it's just something I haven't discussed with Kathy or Laura, so bring up for everyone to think about, but if there was some sort of public access where it was open
Well, there is common
But I
space.
feel like it is open, but if you had one weekend a year or something like that.
We have open studios so that the public can come in and view the artists and the artists share what they're doing. So we
Not where
do.
they're living over at your place.
No, at
Those
the
cottages
cottage.
are student.
Then
work
there's
studios.
Studios.
All right, can you put that in a narrative and get it to Glenn?
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna have to go and talk to the
I do
Stuart
think
about
there
that.
is more public access.
Is the
than
bike
that.
path? Is the bike path coming across
Yes,
cottage
thank
property?
God.
It's not there.
It's planned for it.
Yeah, it's not there.
Then design phase.
It's gonna be a while.
It will
So,
be.
so, thinking about that, could you pledge the easement for the bike path as a way for public?
We can't do that. We cannot leverage in here at all, period. Never.
And this is not anything that you guys are talking about. This is what I wanna ask, is it possible through you, Madam Chair, could you give us a priority list on what you want done? Like
Yeah.
what, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, so on everything that you want done, so it'll make it easier for us,
Okay.
Yeah.
when we're choosing out.
All right, that might be a great idea, because one thing that comes to mind for me is when you talk about this cottage on the existing main floor, there's 2 living units in one cottage.
Yeah.
So I want to be sure everyone's clear on that.
Yeah.
But if we were to say, okay, well, then we can just cut the budget in half. The problem there and it's all workable, I'm sure, but problem there is when they bring the electric service, all of the electric service, to the building, they're not bringing it to one cottage. One unit on one side of the building for half the price. All of it has to come.
Through the whole.
When they plumb it, they're not gonna put one waste pipe in on one side. It's all gonna be an integrated system. And that's where I think the challenge lies of just cutting the tab in half. I mean, we can say things like, okay, we won't redo the kitchen, we won't redo the bathroom, we won't redo the sheetrock in one of them to lower the tab. But there's some systems that are gonna have to go in whole. And that's gonna be the challenge. That we could ask our plumber and our electrician to educate us as to how they can break the thing into two phases.
Well, I'm
or
sure
three
Mitch
phases.
can
Yeah,
assist
and
for a
Mitch can
long,
have
long
that
time.
conversation with
He
them.
can help you figure out if we can
Yeah,
phase some stuff at some point,
Sure.
or cut the, just work it out. So maybe this year versus next year, but I love that narrative, that public access.
Yeah.
Where they came, the whole, that kind of home, something that you would prepare.
How did we fund before? We've done plenty of times we've funded this, the Pepper Barn.
And have those, that's a farm.
You could pretty
Well,
much
that's
walk
different.
right off.
That's the school.
That's
you can
different,
walk
and
in.
it's a school and we can do that.
Yeah.
This is private residences, that's a difference.
I feel instead of dividing this in half, that you're taking steps, so you do the rough and then you finish, so like there's phases in the house.
Yeah.
Basically like 8, if you break it down, in the bank turn, right?
Yeah.
So if you could say like, hey, we can do the roughs. And then maybe there's something else to come back.
Yeah, but the other problem with that is, and you brought it up, that these are residences and you can't just do rough and wait 2 years to get more money from us. I think that's the problem that they're having an issue with.
And the other thing, our goal, I understand what we're speaking of here, but our goal was, this has been waiting, so we started this when they moved, like in 2022. And we really need to get our programs back in gear, and we were hoping to do that in June. Or the following.
Remember, our funding doesn't come.
I know,
for
I
another,
mean,
till next July 1.
right,
Right.
but I mean this year, so that we can really get rolling.
Okay.
Hold on, Tom.
A couple clarifying questions. So there's no conservation restriction on the current dwelling?
No, there's no restriction on.
And the
anything else.
intent,
Reservation.
I knew what you meant. though.
right,
Yeah,
and the intent is to put on all 11.
yeah, the
Dwellings.
whole campus will have a restriction on it.
Okay, so my question is, I mean, just briefly, it's in the CPA, they must have.
Oh, yeah.
So is that, if we were to fund partial or all of this, is it contingent on that, or?
They have to file it.
That's
It's in
true,
the contract.
that's true of all of your historic.
Yeah, all those
preservation
are.
funding. But most people don't put restrictions on a bill, on until they receive, or
Yeah.
it
Oh, yeah.
becomes clear that they're gonna receive CPC funding.
And,
But we started the process up at the state,
Fine.
for this restriction.
through the chair, they can also receive up to 50% of the funding that was allotted to them before that restriction. After that 50%, they can't receive any more if that restriction is not in place.
Unless we vote to
Right.
do it otherwise, that's a policy.
Oh, okay.
But, it's just, we have a lot to work through. But if you can give that narrative, and maybe there's, Mitch can help come up with a phase that can get you a CO.
And the vendor.
Without getting all
Hear ya.
crazy with it.
Okay.
Maybe that'll help.
I just have
forgot
one
to deal
more,
with the funding.
I have one other thought on that. I'd be curious to know from Stuart at CPA or town council, et cetera, where the line is on public access.
Yep.
Because if a lighthouse is open 2 days a year.
Yeah,
For public, is that public yes, but so anyway,
Except it's in the public venue. That's the difference. You can drive by something that's in a very important building and never step foot in it. But it's in the public venue, where the one on the corner of Main and Orange, they can go in it.
True, but it-
There's doors in it.
but in my fake analogy, the lighthouse is locked, so therefore like. I don't know, I'd be curious to know where the
Yeah.
exact line is,
It
that's
was
all
a
I'm
very
saying.
fine line, because it came up with the Mariner House. first.
way to go.
And we didn't fund them because they just will not fall in agreement, and if the building is important, I made that case. It's the most unique building on Center Street. But we couldn't get anybody to agree to fund it at that point. Plus, they weren't contributing anything on their own. They weren't all on the same page, because there's like 10 units in there. There's a lot of problems. Where is that worked out with the one on Main Street?
Yeah, that building, one of the main reasons was the tenants didn't want to put any money in.
Yeah.
And the other one was, it's a historic building. We really wanted to fund it, but there was no access because people didn't want people walking through their houses. The one on Upper Main Street, I was concerned about it because they have tenants above. So I was asked, that's why I asked them, will the public have access? I said, that was my main concern with that building that we just interviewed. And what they said was, they were talking about it and brainstorming. So yeah, we have this gigantic room up there. We can actually make it available to people in the town to have meetings. You know, and another time, as something like you said, maybe once a year we can have like an open house and have people come up. So it falls within the same venue that you're talking about. We just, accepted with this other place.
And the first floors in that building are accessible and remains in that building, and there's other stuff in that building. So it had a much more of a public presence, put it that way, than out in the middle of Walwinnett, and nobody goes there in the winter type of thing. So this is what we have to sort of work through. But if you give the narrative that they hold artist things for the public and all that stuff, that would give us somewhere to stand. So get that, and then get the list, work with Mitch and figure out what we have to fund now and what can be put off.
One of the things that, that we've noticed is that the artists really enjoy sharing their work with the public. And we have asked them to have these open houses, but if it were a necessity, we could share with them that as part of their fellowship, that they would contribute to our Nantucket community by having an open space once a week.
Well,
I'm
artist
sure that would
salons,
be fine.
I mean, just, have an artist salon in there.
Yeah, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Is the school in that category of being for the public or no?
Yes, because that's down the street, but that's also the farm, it's a historic farm. It's perfectly visible and people do go there.
Okay,
So that, we didn't have any trouble doing the heifer barn, the long barn, and I think the silos in particular. Because they're so unique and it's so open. You can see it, you can go there, you can go to their classes. So there was a lot of public involvement in that, as well as driving by it, there's a lot of public involvement, but it's such a iconic situation. So it's different than private residences where people are not
Well,
generally
that's-
allowed to go in.
that's what I wanted to speak to, because when we got the permit to move all the buildings, it came under the Dover Amendment, which is specific to schools and things like that. And so I didn't know, they considered it at the building department as part of the school.
That's not something, that's not something we get involved with Dover.
I just
That's
thought I
zoning,
would
that's a
mention it
zoning issue.
because,
Yeah, I knew there had to
Yeah.
be a way to do that. It's a zoning issue. But I think, there may be some paths to giving money to some part of it, but I just need more in the file. To
yeah,
support it in case somebody has a problem with it. Yeah, also in case somebody has a problem with it. No. It's all very public.
electricity and they put sheets up.
All right. Yep. It's projected on the outside of the building.
We were showing movies on the barn doors this
All right,
summer.
we've got to go. Thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you very much. And if you're
Showing
showing
movies
movies,
at
visit,
night.
please let us
It's
know.
fun.
Discussion, guys.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. So then today, guys, we know where we're going, and then we'll send out wherever we can go here.
Yeah, I was just checking to see if, I had received the response and I haven't yet, but,
We'll
it's
send
not
out
gonna be the
nothing.
29th or the 30th, and it's from 9 to 12, so as soon as I hear back from them, I'll let everybody know, but Tim, does one of those days work better for you than the other, or you need to just kind of check into it?
My vacation's gonna suffer because.
We just have to book it.
So we don't know about those dates yet until you.
All right, so wait a minute, guys, somebody take a, hold it, yeah.
So moved.
Somebody needs to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll go second, all those in favor, Jesse.
Jesse, if you want
Whatever, Neville,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Connie.
That's an eye for Jesse. Sorry, I was on mute.
Jesse, got it.
Aye.
Aye.
Done. There we
Yes, I
go.
want to pick a chair.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Right there. Aye.
Okay, good.
Sure.